Alright, hello and welcome to another Diplostrats video. I'm here once again with Ezio. Hey Ezio.
Hello, hello.
And we are commentating a Valefisk video today. So Valefisk is a YouTuber who has a habit of torturing his friends with various videos, and I'm subscribed to him anyway. I was very surprised to see a couple days ago a diplomacy video pop up. He has done one diplomacy video before. This one, well, I was thinking of potentially commentating that last one, but I couldn't figure out what enough of the orders were because it was like chopped together. This last one, they basically showed almost the complete game, right? And it's an absolutely incredible video. I highly recommend going and watching it. It's absolutely hilarious to hear all the negotiation, and some people slowly getting more and more drunk as the game goes along. But what we're going to be doing here today is commentating the strategy of it, like we would an expert level game. Should be noted, these are not expert players. They are players who know how to play diplomacy, but we're probably expecting a few more mistakes than we would out of the regular expert level play that we usually commentate. So, looking straight at the game board here, Ezio, is there anything that stands out to you?
Yeah. Um, right from the opening, you can see a whole non-standard openings. Um, in fact, relatively few countries do moves that I would consider standard, which is fun. Um, the start talking with Italy, and then go to Austria, and then Germany, and then deal with the corner powers later.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, Italy here, moving Rome into Tuscany, Naples into Tyrrhenian, and holding Venice. It's a much harder Western opening than we're used to, but also not as hard West as it could be given they stayed out of Piedmont.
Yeah, I think this is the most indicative to me that this is a beginner game. Um like the most common thing that beginners do is they have Venice and Trieste hold. Because both of them are worried about leaving because what if the other one walks in? Um and it's not to say that experts never hold these spots, but almost every beginner game I see has these two units hold. And so seeing this makes me reminisce of my days back in middle school playing diplomacy for the first time.
Yeah,
So,
I remember that entirely as well. That
yeah.
kind of game. Um, the
Yeah.
perhaps obviously in expert level play we almost always see Trieste move to Albania at the start. Technically, the Hedgehog is also a relatively common opening, which is moving Trieste to Venice. When I say relatively common, it's like far less common than moving into Albania. But
Yeah.
generally, this unit moves one way or the other because if you just hold it here, yes, it prevents a move from Venice to Trieste, but it doesn't prevent the potential Venice into Tyrolia, Rome into Venice attack, which is quite a common one if Italy is coming for you. Whereas Trieste to Venice just makes sure that unit stays there if you've got some kind of agreement with them. Yeah, and interestingly here, the move up to Tuscany is a bit of a weird one because it doesn't really help you very much outside of like signaling to France, "Hey, I'm moving slightly closer to you," right?
Yeah. It's a move, right, that feels like, okay, this unit feels like it should move, and I don't need to move it closer to my homeland. That's Naples, right? It wants to get out, and so Piedmont's a way to get out, so let's move close to get out. And that's a very natural way to think about Italy and to approach it. I'm curious if they'll actually be convoying it into Tuscany, or it's not into Tuscany, if they'll be into Tunis. Very often that doesn't happen, and so
Mm-hmm.
honestly, and when you're in Tyrrhenian, I don't even know if you want to convoy, right? If you're going after France, it might make sense to just move it into Piedmont and then keep Venice where it is, and then have a fleet in Tunis moving back into Western. So that's Italy, which is I think gonna have a rough game from here. Um,
Well,
and then we look at Austria.
it's so with
Um,
Italy, right?
and
Because they can have a rough game, but they're also quite difficult to attack in these beginner games, right? So it's like a rough game for them is kind of being confined to Italy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't expect them to be the first country to die. Obviously that's Austria. But I I still feel when you sit on four centers for the entire game and never go anywhere, it's not very fun. So I consider that a rough game to never get beyond four.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
but yeah, now looking at Austria's opening, um, moving into Romania, Serbia is very cool. Um,
It's it's quite something, yeah.
yeah, it's really like, man, do we think we're gonna keep Romania ever?
I mean it's
Uh,
possible. um,
yeah, but like, surely that's not gonna work, and surely we have to cover Vienna or Budapest, and surely we're not gonna leave Vienna and Budapest open, and get Serbia, and have Russia not kick us out of Romania,
well,
right?
in this case, it's gone quite well for them, right? Because Russia opened north and Germany has gone to Cilicia, which is all gonna take that pressure off them potentially. But yeah,
Yeah,
this just seems incredibly risky in this
and
scenario.
it's like anti-Russian risky. I feel like Russia's the one who can stop you. But yeah, you would predict that Galicia's going back to Warsaw, and that Austria's gonna just completely neglect the defense of Vienna and Budapest and just take Serbia and Romania in 01?
I mean, it would be amusing if Galicia goes back to Warsaw and Austria is like panicked enough about Galicia that they retreat into Budapest and Vienna again and get nothing, right? Because that is a
Yeah,
potential outcome here, especially at a lower level of play, right? At a beginner level coming in, you think, oh my god, I need to control my home centers, and then back off and try and defend yourself with everything. And actually, in this scenario, it's generally better to just, even if that unit in Cilicia wasn't there, right? Then you're just taking a guess. It's better to just take the guess and only protect one of the two, so that you have the option to build there if you get it right. And you still get the build
yeah,
from you still get the extra center from Romania, even if you fail to defend one of the two, right?
yeah. It's a funny situation where if you could somehow convince Russia to attack you and make them really want to piss you off, I feel like you could really piss them off. Um, you could then cover both of them, and if any of them bounce, you then still get your sensor and your build. Whereas if they go back, it's the worst case. So weird,
That
it's a
is
weird
true.
situation where you want to induce them to try to take your home center. Um, but this also, right, is one of those prime examples as to why holding in Trieste is very sad. Because Turkey gets Greece uncontested. Um, and that's not good for Austria. So wouldn't it have been nice if you had an extra unit that could stop Turkey from taking Greece? Um, but you can't, so
Yeah, and
very sad.
it's like almost. I understand not going for Serbia here, like just in the way of thinking about it, you think, okay, there's two centers that are open to me right at the start, right? And Serbia is the most easy one for me to take, so I should make the move into the harder one to take, the Romania, before anyone else gets there, right? And then I can just move Budapest into Serbia afterwards. And I mean, it could work out, but yeah, the real problem here is that Austria has no pressure on Greece at all. And letting Turkey out of the box, especially with a lot of players who might not know how to deal with a very strong Turkey, that is incredibly dangerous. And
Oh yeah,
here,
I mean,
yeah,
if Turkey's on five, when Italy opens to Tyrrhenian and looks like it's going west, and Russia opens north, that's that is not good news for the rest of the map.
yep. Uh,
All right, and then we look at Germany, and Germany's having a very weird opening. Um, so moving into Silesia is it's not a super common opening, but it's not never seen. It's just usually I see it accompanied with Kiel into Denmark, with the plan of bouncing Russia out of Sweden, and you're just applying maximum pressure on Russia. And then Berlin still sometimes goes to the west, and you can sometimes do it where Berlin goes into Silesia and Munich goes into Ruhr, but most of the time Ruhr goes into Holland anyways, and Kiel can go into Holland and stuff, so like those differences are whatever. But by disconnecting Silesia from Kiel to Denmark, Russia's going to get to build, and your pressure isn't going to get you much, except an enemy. But yeah. So I really don't understand what Germany was high level thinking on this one. Um, except, hey, look, I can move units to places. Let's do stuff.
Yeah, like I I really dislike the opening move to Cilicia. I know a few high level players who do it as like a control move if they think that Russia is a super strong player. As you say, it's basically always accompanied by that move into Denmark just to make sure that they can bounce Russia out and not face as much consequence for for annoying Russia as if Russia just gets massive in the first year and then plows down with all the armies on you. But yeah, I have seen the Cilicia move happen before at a high level. I'm not a fan of it because it never gains you anything at all, right? It never gains you Warsaw. It just pulls Russia back and it puts Russia's focus, their anger, essentially on you. And that's never a nice situation to be in on the very first turn of the game. Um, yeah.
Yeah, Germany is one of those countries that can get three builds up to six on the first turn with some consistency. If you actually go for it, um, like you can do it quite consistently. Um, but seeing not doing that, and I like thoughts, so giving up a thought's not great. That said, the strategic implications of it are still relevant. I don't hate the move. I do generally dislike it if without moving into Denmark because Russia is very likely to get enough builds to make your life annoying. But and then the corner powers are relatively standard doing normal stuff. Like Turkey's moves make sense, English moves make sense, French move makes sense, and then Russia decided to open north, which makes sense, but I assume Russia is very in this situation with England opening full north and Germany being annoying.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting part of this Russia opening, I guess, we do see this northern opening quite a lot. Usually Warsaw would go to Ukraine, because in this position, you kind of want to make sure you have enough pressure on Romania to get it, and you don't really want to do that from Galicia most of the time, just because you're then annoying the Austrian without really having any units there to back it up. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna work out. Well, I say it's gonna work out okay. They do have to deal with the Cilicia units. So if this has annoyed the
Yeah,
Austrian, and of course they can't actually take Romania at this point, so it's gonna work out in the sense that they're going to have to basically focus north for the moment. At least that's my view on it.
yeah. I actually like the Galicia variant. If you can somehow, if Austria offers to let you go in there, it's great. Or if you actually just break a DMZ on turn one, which is the best thing to do. Um, Breaking DMZs on turn one.
Uh,
Because it makes it really difficult for Austria to stop you from taking Romania if you're in Galicia. Uh, so I have played at least a couple of games where I've DMZ'd Galicia, walked in there in 01 while opening North, and I told Austria, yeah, see, look, I'm not gonna hit you. I'm gonna take Romania, and everyone's gonna be happy, and we'll be fine. Um, so Austria was pissed. Austria covered their home centers. And then we juggernauted and killed him.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
it's usually how it goes.
So
But
term check there. Juggernaut is the Russia-Turkey alliance in this situation that is generally viewed as one of the strongest alliances in the game. Especially, it's just got that reputation. If you look up strategy articles on diplomacy, one of the first things you'll see is Russia-Turkey is a very strong alliance. They have a habit of just running down the entire, at least the south side of the board together. Um,
yeah, hence why it's called the Juggernaut, because it just keeps going and it chugs along through the rest of the board.
yeah. All right. Well, is there? I guess the only other thing to point out here: demilitarized Burgundy means quite a friendly France and Germany. That probably gave Germany the confidence to go to Cilicia as well. So something to watch out for there, I guess. Shall we
Oh,
move
something
to?
that is fun
Oh,
for
go
these
ahead.
DMZs and beginner games that I'm thinking of now. Oftentimes in negotiations for these demilitarized zones, it's not agreeing about like a single territory that's between them. It's like, hey, Burgundy's a French territory that you don't want me to move into because it does things. Ruhr is really only useful from your end if you're going to attack me or we're going to fight over the lowlands. But since we're just going to agree that the lowlands, you get Holland, I get Belgium, and we're fine on this, Ruhr should be a demilitarized zone for you as well. And so if France and Germany made that sort of agreement about the lowlands, which is not a common agreement in high-level games because who cares about which country's which? We care about the tactics on the board. Then it makes Munich have a harder time figuring out what to do, and it means Germany could have the confidence to do stuff. Because again, trying to explain the move into Holland and not accompanying it with the move into Ruhr, it feels quite weird because like anyways, that's the thing that I wanted that I thought about as explaining not moving into Ruhr. But I'm
Yeah,
happy to go on to O2.
I think you are very much correct on that, by the way, because I know that this. Because I watched the video, I know that at a later point in the game, people mention, oh, you're being invaded to someone because one of their non-supply center colored territories. So it doesn't happen on this board, because this is Backstabber, but they were playing on Tabletop Simulator, and that means that the non-supply centers around the home supply centers are colored that country's territory as well. So, for example, Piedmont is Italian, Tuscany is Italian, Apulia is Italian as well on that board. And for France, Picardy, Burgundy, Gascony are all French coloured. So it, like, people view that as that is part of my territory already, right? So Germany might just think, oh yeah, of course I wouldn't go to Burgundy straight away. That's French, right? So
Yeah.
France, yeah. So that is something to
Do you
keep in
know
mind
what
on
color
this.
Galicia was?
Galicia is Austrian, so Galicia, Bohemia, and Tyrolia are all Austrian on the standard board. And I think later in the game, I think it's Tyrolia that gets pointed out as, oh, that's an attack on you because someone is going through it, even though it's not actually meant as an attack on the Austrian. It's a
Mm,
fun little psychological thing that you don't really think about looking at this board. Um,
yeah, that's
yeah.
cool.
Okay, so
But yeah, let's go to the fall.
let's move to fall 1901. Okay. Uh, so few interesting things are happening here. We've got the bounce in Warsaw. We also have a lot more hold orders than you would usually see on a 1901 board. This is one of the other things that shows that it's not like an expert level competitive game like we're used to, right? Because there you just don't see very many holds ever. Is there anything you want to talk about straight away here?
I love convoying St. Petersburg North Coast into Sweden.
You love it
I love
from,
that move.
as in you think it's a great move, or you just love it from
No, I
a,
think it's really cute.
yeah.
Um, it's like, yes, I know that I can convoy units around. Look at me convoy this army into this place. Into one of the, honest to God, few territories on the board I would rather have a fleet than an army. Um,
Yep.
but I know how convoys work. Look at me convoy.
Yeah. I, I should note here, I'm like 90% sure I initially put in Sevastopol and Ankara bounce in Black Sea. I'm pretty sure they bounced on this turn, and I've just failed to get that on the sandbox. So
Right.
that's something to point out. But yeah, that convoy, it's an interesting one because I've actually read strategy articles saying yes, you should do this. They're the kind of strategy articles where people are like looking for openings that haven't been done before, so that they can go, "I've found a new opening," right? Um,
Sure.
the idea behind this is that you then have the unit in Sweden to cover it while you go down to Baltic and attack Germany that way.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
the most telegraphed thing. I guess in this situation where Germany has already moved into Silesia and attacked you in Warsaw, like, I guess you are going to be fighting Germany, so being slightly more efficient against Germany is good. Um, it's just the flexibility of being able to move into Skagerrak or more often take Norway with a fleet. To give me some flexibility against England. But here it's like, nope, I'm attacking France and I know how convoys work, so let me do this cool convoy.
attacking Germany. Yeah, the I
Did I say attacking France?
yeah,
Yep,
that would be quite the attack off the bat.
that's France.
Um, I like. I almost think it's better if you're attacking Germany here. If you're like 100% committed, okay, I'm going all in. Then this is a reasonable move, but I think it's better to move St. Petersburg to Livonia, move your fleet into Sweden, and then build another fleet on the south coast. Um, I don't know. It's a bit of a tough one.
It's one of those things where like we don't really know what the optimal way to attack Germany when you're alone as Russia is. And like you haven't done anything to Austria, so you can't get into Bohemia or Tyrolia really. And it's just like, oh, because it doesn't work. That's why we don't know how to do it, and we haven't really seen it done. Because just trying to get into a war with Germany is it's just not going to work for Russia. But
Yeah.
good luck.
All right. So elsewhere, we see France get the triple build off the bat, moving into Belgium, moving into Portugal. They did enter Spain to Gulf of Leon. I assume it was just a like, haha, I'm doing an invalid order move. Um,
I think so too.
yeah, and we see the Italian unit get up to Piedmont. So where it could have been a turn earlier if they'd gone Venice to Piedmont, Rome to Venice, but maybe they just want to slow play this a little bit. Um,
Yep.
yeah. So important thing to note here, of course, Turkey is going up to 5, which is huge for Turkey on the first turn. And Austria also going up to 5. You don't often see both of those happening at the same time, especially not in this configuration. Usually, when it does happen, it's Turkey taking Romania with Austria's help. So there's going to be like a big Austrian buffer between Turkey and Russia here because Austria is holding Romania. Um, Gonna be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah. I'm suddenly getting flashbacks to the last game we played, where Turkey built only armies with their. Well, the last time I was only one army. I am worried we're gonna see two army builds out of Turkey.
That would be
Please.
very painful.
Oh no.
uh, of course, the problem with
Oh, I
Turkey,
can feel it coming.
if you build too many armies as Turkey, you just cannot get them out of your home country, right? You kind of need fleets somewhere to be able to convoy or at least like support moves out of your homeland. But yeah, um, anything else to talk about here?
Looks good to me. I am excited to see the builds.
All right, well, let's go ahead to Winter 1901. Here are the builds. We've got
Okay,
double
there we
fleets
go.
from Turkey, which is much better than double armies. Like, far, far better. um,
It's wonderful. Yes, very happy.
yep. No surprise on the Austrian builds there. The the German one is I guess a bit interesting. Usually, you would want to see at least one fleet happen in the first year for Germany because it's the time where you have an excuse to build a fleet, no matter who you're working with. And Germany generally wants to have two fleets on the board. Having an extra army here, it makes your control over Denmark so tenuous. Like, you have nothing to back that up anytime soon. You just have to hope for other people to like you. And after annoying Russia, doesn't seem like a great chance of that.
Yeah, I am not a fan of the army and field build either. More than like the excuse and thinking long term about a war with England in the future. I just want to be able to from moving into the Baltic Sea. That's a really critical strategic location. Russia's entire strategy revolves around like the reason they convoy into Sweden is to move Bothnia into the Baltic Sea. And so if you build a fleet, you just bounce it and say, okay, good job. Also, I would have done that in Berlin, so that way Holland could then move back into Kiel, and then we'd be okay. But um, that's not happening.
Aye. Are there any other builds that stand out to you here? I think they're all kind of straightforward. Um, so something actually
I think
crucial
Army
here.
Marseille
Sorry, carry on.
is the next like I think that's the other move that I do not like. Just much rather that be a fleet. Um,
Hmm. Why
yeah,
would
I
you
just
prefer that to be a fleet? Just because France is going to have too many armies now, or
yeah, I'm France. I got three builds, two fleets, one army. Always, just it's a very good heuristic. Um, like what, are you gonna be attacking Germany here? Like, oh no, they built two armies in Kiel and Munich. Like,
I don't know. I think it's
I
one
don't
of
know.
the situations where it's more feasible to attack Germany like all in than it usually is because Germany is presumably going to be moving towards Russia. Although the fact that they built in Kiel instead of Berlin is not too promising on that front, I guess. Uh,
Yep. And it's like, yeah, you can make your prime defensive position, right? Where Marseille goes to Burgundy, Paris goes to Gascony, Belgium is there, and you just like, or Picardy even. Picardy's probably even better in this situation. And you're just like, great, I'm France and I'm invincible. But like, you don't need to rush Marseille to Burgundy. You can like move Marseille to Gulf of Lyon and then Spain into Marseille and then be happy. But eh, either way, I building armies as France. Like if I could get away without building an army Paris, I would, but you often can.
yep. I should also note, like, I think this is something that when I was first starting out, I used to think a lot. When you have like an enemy next to your supply center, it's often quite tempting as a beginner to just sit a unit in there to make sure that they don't progress. So, for example, here, Piedmont, right? There's an Italian unit there. Therefore, France is probably thinking, okay, I need to have a unit sitting in Marseille. But in reality, you can just go Spain to Marseille and bounce them out, right? You can like aggressively defend, which then allows you to move that unit somewhere else, which I think is like if you were looking at this as a defensive, a purely defensive unit, then it's probably better as an army because then it can defend there and support hold Burgundy, for example, if Italy isn't tapping you. But you could just build a fleet there and then move it out to Lyon and cover with Spain instead.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's that bit saying if Italy isn't tapping you, Italy's always tapping you if you're in Marseille and trying to hold it from Marseille.
that is true.
Whereas if you are just like bouncing, they can't tap it, applying another location. So for if you want to defend Marseille and you're just going to be sitting there, a fleet in Gulf of Leon is almost always much better than an army in Marseille or any of the but Gulf of Leon in particular, because if Italy wants to take Marseille, they want to take it with support. They need to be in Gulf of Leon, is where Italy can get in to attack it. And so if you are Leon bouncing with an army in Piedmont and Italy cooperates and keeps bouncing in Marseille, then they can't get into the Gulf of Leon. They need to get an, two fleets to kick you out of Leon and then Marseille. And so by being there, you're much more defensive and much more annoying than you would be by just Marseille.
Yeah.
But either way, totally fine, very acceptable. All these builds are actually, I'm quite happy with all of these. I don't think anyone has lost. Uh, Whereas if Turkey had built two armies, I would say Turkey was dead in the water.
Yep.
Well, dead on land, I should say.
Yeah, that's very fair. One thing I did want to mention here, also, I think it becomes more of a pressing point in like future phases. But this connection between Norway and St. Petersburg, when you're a new player, it's often this connection right here and the connection between Tyrolia and Piedmont. These two aren't immediately apparent to you. So you might not spot that they exist. They're very small borders, especially on the tabletop simulator board. So I remember it being a point in this video where England notices, hang on, I'm next to St. Petersburg. So we may see that come into effect somewhere in the future. But yeah, let's go ahead to spring 1902. And again, we're going to see a lot of holds here in the south. Piedmont hold, Venice hold, Marseille hold, Trieste hold, Serbia hold, Greece hold, Bulgaria hold. That's a lot of hold orders. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's Italy, right? It's like, hey, I'm gonna defend my borders. I'm gonna sit here and stay safe. And Turkey and Austria are saying, hey, we're gonna be friends. Oh man.
Yeah.
And then they're thinking with Marseille, oh, I have to be defensive with Marseille. I can't do anything else. Um, and then, oh man.
Yeah, there's just a lot of holds all over here. I think it's a lot of people deciding, okay, this is what I want my focus to be. So, for example, as Austria is thinking, okay, I need to take Galicia. As Turkey, I need to take Black Sea. And they focus on that for the turn, and that's the thing that they're doing, and therefore they don't really want to be doing anything else at the same time, right? So here as Turkey, I think it's perfectly fair to just go and try and take Serbia at the same time as forcing Black Sea, especially if you're forcing Black Sea from Ankara like this, because Russia's probably fine with that. um, you have the potential to just move Constantinople out south afterwards, so it's not actually all that threatening to Russia here for you to be in Black Sea. So you can press the attack on Austria at the same time. A lot of this seems like so on the Italian part, it feels like indecisiveness in a sense and not wanting to annoy people. But on the other parts, it looks like they're committing to one specific thing in the turn. And really, in diplomacy, you want to be doing as much as you possibly can, because it's a very long game, but it's not a game with a lot of stages, right? So a phase is like a full 16th of the game or something. You need to be doing everything you possibly can as quickly as possible. I say that. I know people like Andrew Goff would say to me, hey, no, you should slow play stuff, and then people don't view you as a threat. But as a beginner, try and do as much as possible. That would be my starting advice. Is there
Yeah,
anything...
first realize like how much can you get out of your units? How much can you squeeze versus okay, now you need to get to the next level of other people are good players too, and they're going to make decisions that are affected by me doing things. So even though I am stronger, they're going to hit me more, yada yada. So it's a very what level are you teaching somebody to play at, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
First learn how to hit the ball, then learn how to play.
Mm-hmm. But yes, so where there are moves happening, it's particularly in the north over here. So North Sea going into Helgoland Bight, Norwegian going into North Sea, and London going into English Channel at the same time. What would you say about that series of moves?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Is that from a
Honest to God,
strategic sense?
England owns the English Channel. The English Channel is an English center. I love it. And if you can make that argument, it's got England in the name, and you should sit there and be happy. The rest of you move right. You're not moving into Helgoland Bight if you're not attacking Germany. And France should be able to see that. But France is sitting there in mid-Atlantic Ocean saying, "Oh no, I'm nice and defensive." And you say, "Yeah, I'm in English Channel. You'd better be defensive." Because if not, of course, we know how I feel about France attacking England. So I actually love this move into the English Channel. Because it's clearly not part of a like coordinated assault against France, although it could be, and then you convoy Norway into Belgium and laugh at France. But actually, that works because France got bounced out of Burgundy.
Yeah, that is
Wow, that
true.
would be great. But they still cut it. Anyways, point is, I love being in the English Channel while attacking Germany. I think that England should do this more often.
Yeah. So I should mention here, it will be apparent if you've seen the Valefisk video, and I do advise going and watching the Valefisk video first here. But like, one of the concepts of the video is that the YouTuber Valefisk is being controlled by ChatGPT. So he is typing basically his thoughts to ChatGPT on a turn and letting it return what he should do. So I can't remember if this English channel move was commanded by ChatGPT. If it was, I guess good move, ChatGPT. But I think in practice that concept affected the game less than you'd think it would, because a lot of what he was typing to ChatGPT, like AIs like ChatGPT, are quite sycophantic, I think. So they try and agree with you more than they disagree. So when he's typing his thoughts and saying, "Okay, I think France is quite strong here," ChatGPT is going to go, "Yes, France is quite strong here. You're absolutely right. You should attack them." Or, "I think it's good to attack Germany here." ChatGPT will go, "Yes, absolutely. It's definitely a good idea to do that because you've said you think it is, right?" So I think it ends up having less of an effect on the game than like the video title and stuff would make it seem. But the game ends up being absolutely beautiful and chaotic anyway. And the like people learning that he's using ChatGPT for this purpose, when that happens in the video, it's an awesome moment. But yeah, I think this English channel move might have been commanded by ChatGPT, because I know that English channel was a DMZ at this point, and he was breaking it by doing this. So, gonna.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if you've expressly called it a DMC and you haven't talked about it ahead of time and you do it while attacking Germany, it's not great.
it's it's almost doing too much at once, right? I have to walk back my advice from earlier, saying try and do as much as you possibly can, because here you can't attack everyone. But yeah, uh,
Yeah, I mean, doing as much as you can, like, I don't. Yeah, whatever. If you consider this doing stuff, I consider this not doing stuff. But, like, what I consider doing as much as you can is realizing that, okay, there's no reason for me not to have Marseille support Paris into Burgundy,
mm-hmm.
right? If I want that move to happen, I should do it. Um, and so I should support it. And then I realize that I can be doing that while still covering Marseille. I don't have to worry about anything, so I can still toss supports around like candy. Um,
Yeah,
or like being Turkey and deciding, man, Greece and Bulgaria are next to each other, and I don't want them to go anywhere. I should still have Greece support hold Bulgaria. Otherwise, like Austria could have just taken Bulgaria this turn and force disbanded it, which is absurd to
yep.
me.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, it's basically like if you're entering a hold order, there's almost always something better you can be doing with that. Even if it results in exactly the same situation at the end of the day, usually a support of something makes you a little bit safer or gives you a little bit more. Yeah, so, anything else you want to talk about here? Oh, I guess
yeah,
Bothnia to Baltic. we should talk about Bothnia as a Baltic here, right? Because one
I
very
guess. I
important
mean,
thing it does is it leaves nothing adjacent to St. Petersburg except Norway.
oh yeah, it's a fun thing. And we'll see, right? One of those situations where even though it's a dot, as England, I would not take that dot this turn.
Because you're attacking too many other
Um,
people?
I'm pissing off France. I really want to be able to coordinate with Germany against, or with Russia against Germany here. That's my priority, and I want. I think that taking Holland first, um, or going for Denmark, but like I think you want to let Russia go for Denmark while I take Holland, and then they take Berlin, I take Kiel, and then we're happy. And then I'll take St. Petersburg at some point in there because Russia's gonna struggle to build another unit in St. Petersburg. It's gonna be a big pain, and I can just keep sitting in Norway because I really can't do much with my army. And so I think this is a center that I can take at a later date, and I would value keeping Russia focused on one enemy at a time is good. Unless I want to flip the entire script and switch to an EG and do craziness, but I don't want to do that here. I actually think that I'm in Helgoland Bite. I want to take these centers. I want to stay consistent for 5 minutes.
Yep. It's
I can
also
do that.
just it's super awkward to back out of Heligoland Bight here, right? In
Yeah.
terms of because you then have to move North Sea. There's no other way to get out of there. And moving North Sea isn't really that good. You could support us into Belgium potentially, but then you've got a fleet in Belgium, and Fleet Belgium is just not a very useful unit if you're England, because you can't really use it against anything that's not North Sea or English Channel, or Holland, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, you generally want
If
North
I
Sea
were
to be
trying
doing
to
something else.
demilitarize, like trying to get into Denmark, from Helgoland Bight is a good way to demilitarize. And then you can use this in concert with taking St. Peter. The problem is that Russia is going to be trying to take Denmark also, and if both of you take Denmark, neither one of you takes Denmark, and then it's very sad.
Yeah,
So,
and also trying to convince Germany that you're helping them by moving into Denmark is not.
oh
It
yeah,
could
trust
work
me,
at
this is the most friendly way I could attack you.
yeah. Um, it could. I think it would be a good pitch at a high level game, right? Because someone can see, okay, yes, that gets you out of position for attacking my home supply centers. But when you're a beginner looking at this, you go, no, that's my dot. You can't have my dot. That's not you being friendly at
Yeah.
all. Um,
Yeah, but at
yeah.
this point, what's Germany going to say? No, you can't have my thought, and then stares blankly at you,
Yep. And then,
because Germany can't do anything.
yeah. This is a bit of a problematic situation for Germany now.
Yeah.
um, right, so shall we go ahead to fall?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Fall 1902. So some fun attacks here. This is what I was meaning about St. Petersburg earlier. There's a moment at which it clicks for England. I'm next to St. Petersburg. Although it actually might be another player going up to him and saying, "Do you know you're next to St. Petersburg?" And he just goes, "Oh my god, I can take a dot." So he goes for Belgium, Brest, and St. Petersburg on the same time, and actually gets two of them, and manages to demilitarize Heligoland Bight. So that's a super interesting turn, and it
Yeah.
seems like
Hey,
a good
in
result.
diplomacy, you're supposed to stab people in the back. So he stabbed France in the back, and he made a friend with Germany. Isn't that cool?
Yep. And
And
Germany's got to
Russia
be happy
tried to
about that.
convoy into Kiel.
Yeah. So this kind of follows up from the, I guess, the convoy into into Sweden earlier. We were saying it's like a fancy move of I get how to convoy, I'm going to use this to my advantage, right? And this looks like a super tempting move because it's an empty center and they might not notice that you can go there, right? You can attack it right into the middle of them, but it's the most easily countered move you could make. um,
Just take the dot.
yep.
Just take the dot, man. Denmark was yours. Just take it.
And now Russia is in a bit of a painful spot, having lost another dot and not taken anything anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, good news is that Germany didn't build anything, right? So you can still take Denmark, probably, unless it mess with you, which maybe.
I mean, England is now attacking you, so this is a you have
Yeah,
to
but
convince
like,
them to stop.
is England really going to use the North Sea to support hold Denmark? Nah, they're going to use it to convoy something into Norway.
Yeah, I would
Like,
convoy into Norway every time, right?
yeah, well, assuming they build an army, then they can go for the convoy. Um, but like the army's super tempting here.
Yeah,
Um,
this is another thing that I think might not be obvious to people who haven't played a lot of diplomacy. In that, as England, I think it feels natural to just build fleets all the time, as much as possible, right? Because you can take control of the seas around you and then start advancing into people's SCs. In reality, if you ever get an opportunity to build an army that can easily mobilize somewhere as England, it's usually a good idea to take that opportunity because you don't get them very often. And here is absolutely perfect because you can get the army into Norway with support from St. Petersburg, and there's nothing Russia can do about that. So you can mobilize an
yeah,
army to the continent. And
yeah, I would
yeah.
feel like I would describe it somewhat differently as if you already have mostly uncontested control of the English, you can build armies.
Hmm.
Um, that's how I think about it. Because with uncontested control of English Channel and North Sea, you're gonna find ways to mobilize the armies. It's gonna happen. You can convoy them into Belgium and Holland or Norway. Um, but it's like the important part is making sure like you have those safe and controlled. But either way, good time for an army build for England, I'd say. Um, and I think this is like a solid choice. Given the strategy they chose of I want to work with Germany, I think they made very good moves to execute that strategy. And
Hmm.
that is, if you do that in beginner games, you're gonna win almost every time. Because the fun thing about diplomacy is that most strategies end up working if executed better than other people execute theirs. And so you can flip flop and you can. I think England is in a good position right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. And France has been taken down a unit. Sadly for England, it's down an army, not a fleet. But the so France can still go for England if they want to, but France is still under pressure from Italy from the south, so it's a bit difficult for them. And England is getting builds coming in, so generally a
Yeah, I
very
want to
good
take this
position for
opportunity real
England.
quick to just harp about that army in Marseille one more time.
Hmm.
About Gulf of Leon specifically one more time. Because if that was a fleet in Marseille, then they would have been able to have also move to Gulf of Leon, and that would leave Spain free to do other stuff. And so, for example, Gascony could then cover Marseille, while Marseille moved to Gulf of Leon. If you were super confident Tyrrhenian Sea was moving to Gulf of Leon, you could just not cover Marseille, but that's a scary one. But you could do all this while using Paris to cover Brest, and then Mid-Atlantic Ocean can get into North Atlantic Ocean, and suddenly England's on the defensive now. But because you have an army in Marseille, you have to use Spain to cover Gulf of Leon, and you really don't want to be leaving Mid-Atlantic Ocean open, so oh
Yep.
well.
Really, really showing that France is generally stronger with more fleets if possible, just because they're
Yep.
so easily defensible with a couple of armies. Especially if
Yep.
Germany isn't.
Also,
Well, Germany is attacking them, right? They're supporting England's move against them. They're just also not attacking them with any armies at this moment.
well, Germany's under too much pressure in the east. Germany's primarily on the defensive right now,
Yep.
and so, which is part of the reason why France is so strong. Like, even if countries want to attack you, getting units into position to attack you is a pain because they're often just like what? It's Germany or England and Italy, right, has this hard time getting units to hit you. Um, Germany has other neighbors also. Anyways, it's France is good. Me like France.
Yep.
But who do we really think is winning? Turkey. Look at that.
Yep. So Turkey even got the Russian support into Romania, although if it had worked, Austria would have retreated into Bulgaria, which is
Would have
an
been one of those
interesting
fun,
one.
huh?
Yep.
Moments. Yeah.
But taking Serbia, absolutely excellent for Turkey. The only downside to this is that their best build center for armies is covered right in Constantinople. So you're gonna have to put it down in Ankara or Smyrna and convoy it over to Bulgaria. Um,
Yeah, in this particular situation, first of all, I do agree with an army build. I think they have enough fleets to cover Aegean and Eastern Med, so I like army build, which obviously last turn didn't agree with. But because they have Aegean and Black Sea, they can convoy it quite easily. And then Constantinople is very nice for supporting that convoy. So, um, you can still get this out nice and smoothly. So
mhm.
I am not at all concerned.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, definitely a good turn for Turkey. Other thing I want to mention here, this move Venice to Tyrolia from Italy. So Italy is actually branching out a bit and exploring a bit. But this is the move I was mentioning earlier that someone pointed out to Austria and said, "You see, Italy is attacking you, right?" Because they moved into an Austrian non-ST. And here, actually, I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
Venice to Tyrolia is one of the most pro-Austrian moves you can make in this situation, right? It's like you're leaving your home dot open, so you trust them to some extent at least, because they still had Trieste there. They could have gone Trieste to Venice, which isn't a very good move because a fleet in Venice is really bad and hard to do anything with. But at this level of play, I don't think you think about that. I think you just, if you want the dot, you just go for it, right?
Yeah, I think Venice to Tyrolia is more pro-Austrian than leaving it in Venice.
Yes.
I agree with that. Um, yeah, I think any of the other moves would have been more pro-Austrian. I think Apulia would be
Yeah,
is
okay,
like the
that's fair.
best move that would be also pro-Austrian, but understanding that despite moving closer to my centers, um, it's just it's without any accompanying threat, right? If Piedmont had also moved into Tyrolia, right? Or if Piedmont had also moved into Venice, suddenly it's a whole nother world. Or if Ionian had moved into Adriatic, it's a whole nother world. But just this move into Tyrolia, it makes me think, no, they're just going to try to move to Bohemia, or they're trying to support Munich, or who knows? But like, they want to have more impact in the game. They've been bored sitting here on four centers for the entire game. And they're like, well, I want to do stuff. So
Yep. Um, Alright, so I think that's about everything to talk about here.
power
Unless, yeah?
rankings? Oh,
Okay,
builds first.
yeah, so builds and then power rankings here. Currently, the power rankings on the side of the board there, they are just in alphabetical order, so they don't represent anything off the start. Um, so here we have Fleet Liverpool, Army London. So England does put down an army. Very good
Yep.
as far as I'm concerned. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
like it a lot.
Austria and Russia both taking off their southern fleets there. Albania seems like definitely the correct choice. If you're an Austrian on the defensive, you generally want armies. Fleet
Yeah.
Sevastopol, bit more interesting one.
Yeah. I mean, eh, look, you're it's a tough place to be as Russia. I think it's fine. Like, Russia is hoped backed by Austria or Turkey from Russia's point of view. Um, like Austria and Turkey are both fighting each other. Austria wants to use all of its units to take Serbia. Um, Turkey's fighting back. Like, yeah, I don't know. Seems fun.
Yeah, I mean, Fleet Sevastopol is quite often your most useless unit as Russia. Its main use is bouncing Turkey out of the Black Sea, and here it can't even do that. So it's just kind of pinned there, but it still feels bad to not have it, right? You can't, like, anyone who is just looking for a dot on that front sees the open SC and goes, "Ooh, there's an open SC there. I could just nab it."
Yeah,
Um,
here's a situation where as Austria, it's super tempting to just reposition slightly to Pez support Galicia and Romania while Romania moves to Sevastopol. And if Turkey doesn't counter that by going for Sevastopol themselves, which they often don't, you've just completely flipped the script on Turkey. Now I'm potentially moving into Armenia. You have to be scared about your own defense, and I'm the one who's standing to gain a build here. Um, that of do you think right now Austria thinks they're guaranteed to take Serbia? Because one of the most classic um, beginner is to assume they can take Serbia from Trieste or Budapest without any issues. Um,
yeah.
because yeah.
So the issue there is, of course, you can get cut in Romania from Black Sea, but as a new player to the game, quite often you just see, oh, it's 3 versus 2. I can take a 3 versus 2. That'll be fine. But yeah, if you wanted to guarantee this, assuming Italy isn't cutting you, you do have to go in from Romania, which makes it a lot less appealing, right? It's
Yeah.
yeah. Although I think it's still worth trying for Serbia, right? You kind of have to push Turkey back at this point, or you're in a lot of trouble. Um,
Yeah. Oddly, because I like it's a weird meta level thing where I don't know if I were playing against beginners as Austria in this position, I don't know what I would do. Um, I want to I really want to get into Sevastopol here. I really, really want to get into Sevastopol. And I think that um like yes, I can get Serbia, and I probably have to, and I can even cover Romania. But like, let's say I do take Serbia from Romania, and let's say I move Galicia into Romania and bounce Black Sea out of Romania. But also, let's assume that Turkey's going to convoy into Bulgaria, right? So that's going to mean after this turn, I've got Trieste, Serbia, Budapest, and I have an army in Galicia, but Romania is still my center. I'm gonna have this guess to hold Serbia or Romania, and I don't like that guess. Turkey's got an easy disband if they have to disband in Con, because Fleet Con kind of sucks right now, and so it's not gonna like destroy the war. Um, and yeah, I gotta build, but my armies are kind of bottled up. It's a little grumpy. Whereas if I get into Sevastopol, players often self-destruct once they feel threatened. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd be tempted to do it, but
it's also, I guess, you've got the thinking here that are you ever going to get support against this Turkey? Because obviously you can't get it from Russia anymore. You're kind of all in on Italy helping you, and Italy hasn't been doing that much. So if you want to break Turkey, it might just be on you to do, and in that case, Army Sevastopol, it's fully possible you could get into Armenia with it, and that would be your key to putting Turkey on the defensive, right? That is a really annoying thing for Turkey to deal with. The question is, can you really afford to overextend that much when you've got 4 centers? Uh, yeah, it's a tough one. Um,
yeah, I think Serbia is probably correct. if I could possibly beg Italy to, if I could convince Italy to like move into Albania and Ionian, I would 100% do it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, getting Italy to help
and
here
we'd be
would
set
help
up
so
so
much.
Italy would then take Greece. Yeah. Oh yeah, Italian support. The bait, right? The reason why you can convince them to do it is you'll have two on Greece, and I'll be able to support you with my army in Serbia, and then you'll get Greece because I can support you into Serbia and cut them out of Bulgaria or whatever. So that way they can't, right? You'll get Greece. It'll be great. Italy's not gonna get Greece.
Yeah.
Um, that's
Uh,
not gonna happen. But you can convince them of that sometimes, and that's how it's like a fair arrangement when really you just want them to disband Serbia for you.
yeah,
Um,
this is also like what makes Italy so tough to play. Even expert players often get stuck in this situation where you have four centers, four units, and you can't find the fifth anywhere. Because once you get an extra fleet, or well, more usually an extra fleet than an extra army here, you can break into other areas. But usually with two fleets and two armies, it's just really difficult to get anywhere at all. Especially if you've got a Turkey dominating this much. Uh,
yeah, and very often that extra fleet or the extra build comes with some extreme risks at the time.
mhm.
Leave yourself exposed to one end or the other. You're doing it whilst leaving Venice unoccupied. You're doing it and you're just hoping that it'll work out, or it comes with some very big strategic asterisks like Munich, and you're like, yeah, you can't possibly hold this, but unit for power right now type stuff. Um, so yeah, it's a really tough thing to do, and I don't. Anyways, I think it's a great time for power rankings.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I think that it's Turkey number one.
Yep.
Turkey, Turkey,
That I would
and then
agree completely.
England number two.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, look, if you can be a corner power and be on six centers after Winter '02, so you've got the natural defensive position, but also strength. Yeah, that's great. So I think both of them are going to have a great game.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think this is
Okay.
in beginner games, quite often these two powers are the strongest, England and Turkey, because they have fewer people able to attack them. And because people at expert level play know how to contain these powers, and off the bat, they kind of. It's difficult to know that as a beginner, like what to do about a turkey that's doing this well.
Oh, I mean, it's difficult as an expert too at this point.
This is
The
true.
key is the key is as you don't let them get to this point, right? And that's a struggle to talk about to beginners to be like, oh yeah, at this point you're cooked. At this point, yeah, you'd like, yeah, like in an expert game, if you were to give some of the best players in the world this position and they're like Germany, they're like, oh, what do you do about this turkey? They stare at you and say, I go next. I submit myself to Turkey and say, hello, I want to be second place. Like, good luck is the answer. You just, right?
Mhm.
Or they try to organize the entire board. They coordinate everyone. They tell Russia, oh my God, it's the biggest deal. I won't attack you at all. Please, please, please go. Like, don't disband Sevastopol.
Yeah.
Sevastopol's off the board, man. Anyways, yeah, so it's tough. You can't let them get here, but they're here. They're doing well. England's doing great. Who's in last place? Russia, right? Definitely Russia.
Yeah, it's got to be Russia. The problem, like the biggest problem with Russia, is just that even though they have the same number of centers as Austria and Italy, they're also spread out, and Baltic is only really protecting Sweden. Right, you've got two units in Silesia and Warsaw to defend all of your home supply centers, and they're gonna have a really tough time doing that because in order to get to those home supply centers to defend it, Warsaw has to kind of get out of the way of Cilicia. So if it goes straight to Moscow and bounces, Cilicia gets stuck where it is. It's problematic. Who's in second place?
Yeah. I'm looking at this. I am not convinced. I think I would rather play Russia than Italy here.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
So, I think Galicia is not a threat. I don't think Galicia is going to be attacking me. I think most Austrias are going to be going after Serbia and not going after Sebastopol.
Hmm.
I think most Turkeys are also going to be going after not Sevastopol. I could be wrong, but if Turkey takes Sevastopol with the fleet, it's frankly not the end of the world. I
Hmm.
also think that England is going to be convoying into Norway, not defending Denmark. So I think I can defend Denmark and be okay. Then I have an army in Silesia. Warsaw goes back to Moscow because that's necessary to stay safe. But I'm going to be able to take Denmark, and France is at war with Germany and England at the moment. And if I'm in Silesia, Denmark, and Baltic Sea, gaining Denmark, I think there's a pretty good chance I can finagle something else to work, and I can get an extra build, and then I'll be fine, and then I'll be happy. As Italy, I hate Italy.
Yeah.
I guess Italy's probably fine. Like, you're not under attack from anyone, right? Unlike Russia, who has two enemies. I
Yeah.
just really like this tactical position as Russia. Like,
Like
it's flexible, it's fun, it's cool.
I can see what you mean about Russia, but I also think they're gonna like. It's so easy to just collapse in this position if you're Russia. You can go all out for Denmark and Berlin, but then what have you got? You've got like a decently secure position in three supply centers far away from your home, and then you've got two units at your home that have to defend against everything. And even if Galicia isn't going
Well,
there right now,
we're not defending Sevastopol.
yeah, okay, that's true.
Sevastopol's lost.
Yep. And like your best bet at this point is probably the Turk taking Sevastopol with a fleet so it can't go any further. But even if that Galicia army isn't aggressive now, at some point there are going to be aggressive armies coming in and trying to take this, or England is gonna try and like pincer Sweden off you. Um and I
Oh
think
yeah.
that is game over at that point.
Oh yeah, the convoy into
Um
Norway is rough. For
yep.
sure. I do agree. But like imagine if Romania and Black Sea just bounced in Sevastopol for a year.
That would be really nice. If you can get two builds here, it would be beautiful. um, but yeah, it's
But
it's certainly a more interesting position to play. I would still rank it lower than the Italian one in
yeah,
power
yeah, yeah.
rankings.
It has two enemies. Italy's got zero. Italy's doing better. And if we're talking about a flexible position, right? What's more flexible than being in Italy with a fleet in Tyrrhenian and Ionian, Army Piedmont and Tyrolia, and no enemies?
Yeah.
Like, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fine, fine, fine.
Yep.
All
Um.
right.
So then,
Is Italy above Germany?
uh, good question. I didn't. I think Germany having a strong ally in England makes them like much higher up than they previously were. On the last term, for example, when England went into Heligoland, I would have probably put Germany towards the bottom. But at the moment, I think they're higher than Italy.
Counterpoint, England being a person who has shown that they don't respect their alliances makes them the least valuable ally to have on the board.
That is true. uh,
And they're the one who could convoy into Holland right now.
that is also true. Uh,
So I don't think they will. I assume they won't because their attack is so good against Russia. But I don't know.
yeah.
I think Germany is higher than Italy. So the bottom goes what? Russia, Italy, Austria, then France and Germany. Ugh.
You cut out for
Who
me
would
for
you
a
rather
moment there.
be?
Sorry. What?
So,
Um,
I was going from the bottom up, trying. I'm not sure between France and Germany, which one
mhm.
of those two is better. Which would I rather play? France with two enemies or Germany with
Well,
two enemies?
as you say, England probably isn't the most reliable ally to either power, so France is probably better. I don't know. Like, I'm
Just
tempted
play
just
Liverpool,
to.
man.
Yeah, Fleet Liverpool is problematic. I would be tempted just to put
Like,
France higher on France merit, because France is good.
yeah, France merit. France has got Mid-Atlantic Ocean, Spain, Picardy, Burgundy, Marseille. It's invincible. Germany's losing Denmark. Great. Yeah, France is higher.
But then a lot of France merit comes from the fact that Italy isn't usually attacking you, and here they are. So,
Well, I mean, okay, is Italy actually attacking them?
yeah, I guess they might not be. They've bounced in Gulf of Leon a few times, right? Which is the
Right? Like,
main.
if they bounced the Gulf of Leon, that's true. That counts as an attack. But it's like, look, if Piedmont is green and Italy just sits in Piedmont, like, they might just be saying, hey, this is my border, don't encroach. The most defensive move.
Yep, absolutely defensive. But the fact that
Yeah, but no, they
that
did move into Gulf of Leon.
yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
France having to bounce out of Gulf of Leon is really problematic if Liverpool is coming down to Irish Sea, because you need that fleet to defend Mid-Atlantic Ocean. You can't keep bouncing Leon. But yeah, so that is our power rankings for now. Then Turkey at the top, then England, then oh wait, did we say that France is better on France merit or not?
Yeah, I think we said yes.
Okay, then France, then Germany, then Austria, then Italy, and then Russia down there at the bottom. Let's go to spring 1903. Well,
Oh no.
which thing are you referring to with the oh no here?
Our first place is not looking good.
Yep, this is quite bad.
Oof.
So, what should Turkey have done here? Do you think? Like, what was the mistake? Well, I mean, the mistake is this, right? Going into
I
Sevastopol.
think um I think not supporting into Bulgaria is just I don't know, it's a risky play. I look, it's fine. It's fine. It's definitely an oof. But like, look, their position isn't even that terrible. It's
Yeah,
pretty bad. It's pretty
it's
bad, but it's not that terrible.
yep. I mean, they do have Sevastopol guaranteed, if not guaranteed, because England can help the Austrian if they wanted to, but nearly guaranteed if they want to throw a support hold on
Yeah,
it. But
although I
then,
mean, do we really think that England is going to be keeping Moscow? Like,
yeah, the answer to that is no. um,
yeah, do we think a support from Moscow's working? So, yeah, doesn't seem super likely.
yeah, the but yeah, so Turkey getting bounced out of Bulgaria here is pretty horrible. You really want that army on the front line, and now just the fact that you've lost Serbia and you've only got 2 units adjacent to it now means you can't really take it back. Uh, you
Can't even try to take it back.
yeah, they
Yep.
have. Austria has a bit of a guess here because you could go for Trieste, right? Um, but yeah, it's certainly a far
Here's
worse
the pitch.
situation than
Here's where
others.
Italy gets its extra build. You have Italy, and you say, "Hey, Austria, look, you don't want Turkey to get another center from you. I'm working with you. I'll cover Trieste. Hey, when Turkey tries to attack Trieste, I'll bounce him out. If he doesn't, I'll take it, but I'm your friend, so that's okay."
Uh,
Wink, wink.
I mean,
Boom.
it's a decent pitch. Yeah, yep. And you take the gamble that Turkey is not going to Trieste, which I think is generally is probably the better gamble to take here.
Yeah,
Like,
but honestly, even if Turkey does go to Trieste, like you would much rather, as Italy, Austria be the one to have the unit than Turkey. Like,
yes, that's true.
it actually makes sense strategically. It's just really good for Italy to Trieste.
Yep. Yeah. So, anything else you to talk about in Turkey, or shall we move to other places on the board?
I think just one of the things about this, the reason why my instinct was to support Smyrna and Bulgaria. Like, it's easy to say when it gets bounced out by strength one. And it's it is a tough thing because if they had done anything else with Romania other than tap Bulgaria, you'd feel pretty dumb for supporting that move. Um, because yeah, like yeah, it's a kind of a wasted move. You'd much rather be in the Black Sea and Bulgaria. But having two moves, two units in both of these units next turn, that feels pretty good. But like, I understand being in the Black Sea, because the Black Sea is also a critical strategic position. It's a tough thing. That's all I want to talk about on Turkey. I want to talk about England now, our other top power,
Yep.
and give them some question marks in all chat.
Yeah.
What?
It is.
What?
It's an interesting moveset. This. What are you doing, England?
Like, when I said, hey, England, I thought was doing really well because they had a strategy and they like kind of executed that strategy well. Are they attacking only Russia now? Are they not attacking France after like taking Belgium from France?
It. I mean, I think if I
Are
recall the
they betting
video
that France
correctly,
won't attack them?
if I recall the video correctly, I think they did just decide that. Well, ChatGPT helped decide that they shouldn't be attacking France here. At the same time, they just moved into Irish Sea, so it's kind of. It is still kind of like they're threatening France at least,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Like if you want to be a useful move, right, but you want to also have not attacking France on your agenda, just move to North Atlantic Ocean. And
yeah.
suddenly you can get back to Norwegian Sea, it can do stuff. Irish Sea is marginally more effective against France, but is only against France. Like, what's going on? Why are you? But like, why are we walking out of the English Channel, man?
I mean, if it helped convince France to go from Mid Atlantic Ocean to Western Med, then I suppose that's a thumbs up. But also, you would kind of rather
Okay,
just
but if you
follow them
convince
into
them to move from
Mid
Mid-Atlantic
Atlantic
Ocean,
Ocean. Yep.
like, then just stay in the English Channel. First of all, just congratulations, you got France to walk out of Mid-Atlantic Ocean. Good for you. And if you actually want to bet that they moved out of Mid-Atlantic Ocean, just move there. Just laugh at France.
Yep. It's just especially painful here because moving into London is like, it's such a horrible province to be in with a fleet. It's where you build fleets. It
What's he
is
gonna
not
do
where you
next
move
turn?
fleets. Um,
Right? What not screw the long-term strategic thinking about London. What does London do next turn?
it either moves to English Channel or it moves to North Sea. Probably to North Sea, given this, which means you have to move North Sea somewhere else, right? Um, which is
Okay,
fine.
cool.
It's just, yeah. It also means you can't support whole Belgium, which is if you're moving through North Sea. um,
Yeah. And wouldn't it, and if you wanted to move to North Sea next turn, you could just do that from English Channel.
hmm
Yep. All right, great. Cool. France holding its front, didn't punish because nobody ever attacks. That's fine. Not attacking Belgium because ooh, they're gonna defend Belgium, but then they don't defend Belgium. And okay, I guess we're making peace with England, but like can't do anything ever because of it. Okay,
hmm
I guess that's fine.
Yep.
And then
Um,
Italy moves back to Venice.
yep. They're done with their
I
expedition.
guess
They are missing home.
I guess they were attacking Austria, right? And they don't want to attack Austria anymore.
Maybe. Uh, well, they helped the Austrian here by tapping Greece, and I think that is a really good idea. Like, you cannot allow this Turkey to continue being this strong. But you may as well just keep going and wandering with Tyrolia or holding Tyrolia. Um, Maybe they were just worried about Trieste Venice. Like,
Yeah, right. Like they talked about demilitarizing Trieste and Venice, and then oops, Austria's back in Trieste. I gotta cover Venice again. Maybe. Here's where you got a brave diff, I'd say, and Tyrolia up to Bohemia. Just keep going. Get to Galicia next. Chugga chugga.
I remember doing like the long walk sometimes on maps where you start off by moving Rome to Venice and Venice to Tyrolia, and then you just keep going. And I did it. I did this in one game, allied to Austria, and just ended up in Livonia and Prussia with those two units because I committed to the gimmick and just went as far as I possibly could with them. And on web
Oh my
diplomacy,
God.
you color the provinces in as you walk through them. So there was a big Italy like demilitarized zone through the middle of the map. But yeah, it's fun to do. You should just do that. Go a wandering, especially if you've got Army Piedmont still here. So like Venice isn't really under threat, right? You can cover it from the other side. So go and do
Yep.
something. Go and find something to do with this army. Go and find a center to take.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, and then Germany, trying not to die. Fetal position. Um, Trying to support Berlin from Ruhr.
Yep. This is an invalid move, of course, because that's not adjacent. The Holland to Belgium, I can't remember whether that was agreed, but I assume it was agreed, and they were expecting England to push the fleet forward. Yeah, obviously that didn't happen. So they are losing Denmark and just trying to hold their remaining home centers. Yeah, shall we go to fall?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, fall 1903. Okay. There's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot to talk about every move, I feel like. So,
Man, beginner games are the best, dude.
it is. It's like they're just a whole different beast from anything else that you'll ever see in diplomacy. Uh,
Yeah. Let's talk about Russia and England, I think. I think they're the first ones to talk about. So between the two of them, they are trading three like Moscow, right? England was sitting in it. England is walking out of Moscow, meaning it gives it back to Russia. Russia is taking St. Petersburg, which was formerly Russian. It's now British, but Russia is taking. Sweden, England is taking Sweden from Russia. They are clearly coordinated. My question is, to what? What are they doing exactly other than juggling supply centers?
well, they're trading back to get their own borders back, right? Their standard. St. Petersburg goes back to Russia, and Russia has Moscow and Warsaw, and they have their nice little three SCs there, and England gets pushed out to the front line and has the whole of Scandinavia. It's nice, neat borders with no border gore. Um,
I
but
see.
yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't make much sense from a strategic point of view. Um,
I mean, as Russia, you're ecstatic, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like
100%.
you're plus two, minus one, so you build. Your love and life. We're okay. Everything's great. Russia better than Italy confirmed. But wait!
Are you plus two minus
I
one?
mean, yeah,
You're
Russia's
plus
better
two
than
minus
Italy
two,
confirmed.
right? Because you lose Sevastopol on Sweden. Um,
Oh God, Sevastopol also. Man, Russia. Wait a second. Did they swap? Almost every center kind of swapped, right? Moscow kind of. Warsaw's the only one of their centers that like remained unchanged, right? But Sweden for Denmark, swap. St. Petersburg. for Moscow, almost a swap, and then Sevastopol flip. That's really funny. What a cool turn. I love
Yeah,
it.
Russia has a build here though. I'm trying to like they got +2 from St. Petersburg, Denmark, right? They went -2 from Sweden, Sevastopol. Uh, is my brain dead? Why? Oh no, they don't have a build. They've got 4 centers. Okay, that's fine. Um,
Yeah,
I was
they have
still
that fleet
counting.
Baltic
Yeah.
Sea, which doesn't look like a real unit
Okay.
because it's not in the supply center.
Exactly. But yeah, as Russia, you're still absolutely ecstatic with this because it is like so much better than it could have been. If you lose Moscow here, you're very sad. Um,
Yeah, but like, okay, you would be sad, right? You're really happy that England walked out of Moscow, but strategically, it still feels like you're not doing. I don't know. Yeah, the English army in Ukraine is so useless that yeah, you're much happier with this. You'd rather England wasn't pushing more fleets north, but I think once England was like, oh my God, Norway borders St. Petersburg, that's a exposed territory. Like, God, if England just walked back from Moscow into St. Petersburg instead of this, right? It's just game over, lights out for Russia, right?
yeah.
Russia's on 2 centers and they're dead.
Yep. Um, England bounces the Russian out of Livonia, out of St. Petersburg with Moscow in that case, and takes Moscow at the same time. They end up with Warsaw and Denmark, which are not the easiest things to defend with the same set of units. That's yeah,
Yeah.
that would be lights out. Um, but yeah, they got the English player to go to Ukraine. It's a
I mean, hey, sick.
yeah, brilliant for them. So most of the, if I recall the video itself, most of the negotiations for this turn are actually focused around England's move on the other side, which is Belgium moving to English Channel. And he was trying to ensure that these two powers, they both thought they were going to get it and bounce over it, right? So this is a really neat outcome for him. But at the same time, I think he then didn't spend enough time thinking about the other side of the board, which is considerably
It's
more
tough, right?
important than keeping Belgium, right? Um,
It's more important, but also it goes to show how hard it is to keep track of everything. Like,
yep. Uh,
um, you don't have that much time in face diplomacy, and the West went so well for him. It's fine that the East doesn't go great. Like, being in Mid-Atlantic Ocean is so good that you're very happy. You'd be much happier if France wasn't getting to build.
hmm
Oh well.
Yes, this move to Tunis is going to change a little bit because France will be able to put down something defensive. But yeah, being in Mid-Atlantic Ocean, English Channel, absolutely beautiful for England. And they could have been in that position last turn, potentially. But this turn, I think they were more confident that it was going to happen. Um, and yeah, doing all that without losing Belgium, really good move. Um, even though it's also not great from a diplomatic perspective because you're making yourself out to be even more sneaky, right? You just told Germany that they'd get Belgium, for example, and then tried to set up France to try and take Belgium at the same time, and now both of them are angry with you. But I think
But
these
they
players
can't
are
both
all
be
like,
angry with me. The other one stopped them. I had
this
nothing to
is
do with it.
true. I think
What?
they're
No, France stopped you from taking Belgium. They're your enemy.
yeah, all of these players are also quite used to each other being like sneaky bastards. I think is the best description. So it probably doesn't damage their reputation too much to set this kind of thing up. And you were absolutely right on Italy. They went in to defend Trieste for the Austrian. A completely selfless move, of course, just for the
Why did they
Austrians'
tap
defense.
Aegean?
Uh, that's a good question. What? Maybe they thought it was moving somewhere. Um, It's also like, I guess there's no reason not to if you're trying to hold, if you just want to hold in Ionian. That's the unit that threatens Ionian. So,
Sure.
yeah, this move never does anything except if that unit moves out somewhere, and then it's like fine, you just end up energy and nothing will go into Ionian behind you. But obviously, in hindsight here, it's really bad because you lose Tunis. and
You think
that
this is one of those things where they didn't see that Western Med bordered Tunis?
It's fully possible. I think that border on the map is actually pretty visible, but the downside here is like maybe they just weren't paying attention to the fact that that was possible. Maybe they thought, oh, France is gonna push into Gulf of Leon next because that looks like the obvious next move if you're not looking at the dots, right? Um, that's like how to push your line forward. You don't want to send one unit off of its own, surely. But
Yeah.
France did.
I mean, being honest, I didn't think they were going to do that. I thought they were going to support themselves in the Gulf of Leon, but
Yes.
also I felt they had to cover Tunis anyways, because like, yeah, you got to. It's obligatory, right? You messed with Turkey, and then it's like, okay, now I can go and live my life. But
Yeah.
instead,
And of course,
it's not
so
feeling great.
the downside to covering Tunis here is that you have to cover it from somewhere that you also want to be covering. So Ionian or Turanian, both of them could be really bad if someone goes in behind you. But this is what the self bounce is for. So you can send Ionian and Turanian to Tunis and attack it with both units, right? And then you're covering 3 provinces with 2 units without either of them moving. They
Yeah,
Yeah, they just attack it with 1 strength, so that anyone else attacking it with 1 strength also doesn't get it.
I'm candidate for self-bounce for sure. Or just frankly, I'd be okay getting into Tunis and leaving Ionian open for a second. Um,
Yeah.
I'm expecting to build a fleet to Naples. Obviously, I don't love it, but I expect that Italy is not going to be Turkey's target. I think that Turkey is going to be focused on Austria more than me. And so if they get into Ionian and I have a fleet in Naples turning in Tunis, they're like, "Hey, just ignore me, pay no heed. I'm moving up to Adriatic or whatever." And
Yeah.
then you're like, "All right, go do whatever you want." Although if I'm in Trieste and Venice, I don't want them in Adriatic, obviously. Like, but
Hmm.
either way,
Yeah.
I would have been fine without the self bounce, but self bouncing works great too. Good way to do it.
So Italy very sad here that they don't get to build, but at least they do stay on 4. And then there's this
Yeah.
mess of what's happening with Turkey and Austria here. So Austria goes for Sevastopol, maybe expecting British support. I don't know. It's a good move just to cut the support in any case. Doesn't end up mattering, of course. They go into Bulgaria, which is undefended, and they get it for free. And they manage to hold
Yeah.
Serbia at the same time. So they do lose
Yep.
Romania to the
As a
fleet.
meta point, I am 100% convinced that England promised Austria support, and England is playing this game to see what is the most number of people I can lie to on any given turn. Um, and that's how you win diplomacy is by being sneaky. And so if I can lie to everyone every turn, I'm gonna win. Um, and so hey, I have an opportunity to tell Austria I'm doing something and then stabbing them in the back immediately. That's how I view this. So I am convinced that Austria thought they were getting support into Sevastopol.
uh, yeah, I mean, given as a YouTuber, it might be. Well, I mean, he's a very good YouTuber, but
Okay,
it might
okay,
also be. Oh, this will get me lots more views if I stab as many people as possible, right?
okay. So Captain Meme, imagine for the content, we do a game where we have to lie every time.
Oh
We
boy.
cannot tell the truth.
But then how do you judge that, right? Because you then have to determine what your orders are going to be before you start talking to people. Because if you might accidentally tell them the truth otherwise. Uh,
Um,
it's like the Cicero
hmm.
thing, right? So Facebook's AI, it supposedly always tells the truth because its actions align with what it says every time when it's saying it. But it can just tell someone, "Hey, I'm doing this," while its intention is to do that, and then immediately switch its intention afterwards. So that doesn't mean very much in practice. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking we can work out the specifics later, but I think that would be a great title video, diplomacy, but I have to lie. Um,
yeah,
like,
maybe we shouldn't have told everyone that we might do this.
yeah, right? Like we'd have to figure out, we'd have to plan ahead of time on like how we're gonna do it. Um, right? Like imagine the opening messages. How much fun would it be to just send Austria a message as Italy to say, "I hate you." Like that'd be great. And then how long
it's
would it
just
take? You just die.
you know how the standard message template for everyone at the start of the game is just I think that the alliance between like Italy and Austria is one of the strongest in the game. You just have to replace that with I hate the Austrian
Dude,
Italy
this alliance
alliance.
sucks.
It's the
I've never
worst.
worked with you before. That'd be so funny. Anyways,
I
sorry,
have
we
a
got a little
feeling
sidetracked. But
it would not last very long, that game.
it worked better in Gunboat for sure.
Uh,
Anyways,
okay, anyway.
but yes, I think that England is doing that, right?
Yep.
Get the most stabs possible, and it's she's doing fine. Like, but we'll see. I think that Austria is really sad to not be um doing better, right? They gained 2 centers, yay! But they lost 2 centers. Oh no.
Yep. Um, so, and their position now is a really weird one, right? They have Bulgaria, Serbia, Budapest. This just like string of armies that are in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
It's nice that Romania is a
Okay.
fleet. Um,
Yeah, it's great that Romania's a fleet. Meta question. Have you ever seen Austria get dislodged by England in '03 before?
I had not thought of that. No,
Right?
that is new. That is one for the books. I...
When people talk about Austria having too many enemies, right? England is not one of those enemies. Like, that army has gotten here as quickly as possible, right? No, it took a turn off. It held for a turn in Norway. But it moved, it got convoyed to Norway, into St. Petersburg, into Moscow, into Ukraine. Boom.
Yeah, that is
That's sick.
impressive. Beginner games, man. Incredible. Okay. But yeah, so is there anything else to talk about on this phase, or should we move ahead?
I think let's go to the next one. I think
Alright.
we got side this time.
Alright, winter. So, Fleet Brest as the defensive build from France. That makes sense, given the
And
circumstances.
Army Munich off, and that's the only adjustment.
Yeah, I'm
All the
surprised.
chaos. And this is where it ends. That's amazing. I didn't even pay attention. That's great.
All of that for one drop of blood. No,
Yeah.
all of that because just to make one German center change into a French center. Wait, what was the chain there? Because the chain went France got a center off of Italy, Italy got one off of Austria, Austria got one off of Turkey, Turkey got one off of Russia, Russia got one off of England.
Germany.
No, yeah, Russia got one off of Germany, and then that's where it ends. All right, so England is the only power not involved in the center swap this turn.
And to be clear, England was pretty involved in the center swap by walking out of Moscow and by letting Russia take St. Petersburg. It's just all of England's involvement negated itself.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go ahead to spring 1904 here. So,
House of Cards is going to collapse anytime soon.
which House of Cards? Sorry. Yeah.
England's just like its
Oh.
existence in this game, the way that it's playing,
Hmm.
feels very fragile.
Yeah, but England is a great power to have if you're playing like that, right? Because you can get away with playing in incredibly stupid ways if no one has enough fleets to kick you out of the sea.
Yeah, and frankly, nobody has enough fleets to king England out. England's got the perfect fleets. Mid-Atlantic, English Channel, North, all optimal, no issues. Yeah, all right. Good job, England. Keep it up. And England was the one who was creating the video, right? Who posted it?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So they are also
Mm.
taking the ChatGPT advice.
Yeah, but also they're the one posting it. We can metagame a little bit. We'll see.
So I have moved ahead to spring 1904 here. There's some interesting stuff. I remember from the video that England and Austria had England agreed to support Austria into Warsaw and then forgot and went for it themselves. So that was an
Uh-huh.
interesting set of moves there.
He definitely forgot. Yep. Hmm.
Uh,
All right. So first, let's look at Italy. I don't think that Italy and Austria agreed to that Italy would be defending Trieste.
yes,
Yeah.
that certainly looks like what this is. I'm surprised that Trieste retreated to Tyrolia instead of just into Vienna here. Um, because you can cover Venice with Piedmont, right? You don't need to have this. You don't need to have this unit adjacent to your homes. You can just go for the extra center here and try and secure that fifth build. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
But like also if you want to attack Austria, getting Piedmont into Venice seems good. If you want to attack France, maybe retaking Tunis from France seems good. But I kind of like actually Western Med. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I like Western Med first. I like that. Yeah. That's good.
I
That's good.
like this move to try and keep France away, right? As a bounce. It's a bit problematic now, though, because if you support yourself into Tunis, they get the retreat into Tyrrhenian Sea, and Tyrrhenian Sea is a painful place for a French fleet to be, as Italy.
Yes, but I think that France needs to defend itself instead of walking into Tyrrhenian Sea in the fall. So,
That's true. Uh,
does Italy know how supports work?
yes, because Valefisk did another diplomacy video prior to this one. It was where, and this Italian player was in it and actually won that game. So I think yes, they definitely
Okay.
do know how supports work. um,
That'd be another fun challenge. Diplomacy, but I can't support myself. Anyways,
Look, well, you can't keep
um,
saying these challenge names on air. Other people will steal them.
well, no, we just have to make them first, meme.
Okay,
Just,
that means I actually
yeah, we
have to
can win the
play
race.
diplomacy. I'm
Yeah,
used
God,
to
imagine.
commentating now. Um,
Yeah. Okay, so I need to, Italy, whatever. Turkey. Why are we making friends with Austria?
I mean, it's gotten Austria out of Bulgaria. That's nice, right? Although you could have
But
forced that
Austria
regardless.
couldn't, like, we could have gotten them out of Bulgaria ourselves.
But you can still force Serbia. Of course, it's a bit dubious because Ionian can cut Greece. But you've got three on Serbia, they've got three on Serbia, but you've got the cut potential on
Yeah, but
Romania.
like, ported myself into Bulgaria with like a bunch of units and did it whilst promising Austria if Austria comes to me and is like, "Hey, I want to kill Italy now." Like Italy hits both of us. I'm like, "All right, sure. I'll happily support you into Trieste." And then take Serbia and then be like, "All right, I took Serbia and Bulgaria. You're dead."
This was
Like,
absolutely a possibility here, yes. Um, Maybe Turkey just
yeah.
likes to stick to their
So,
alliances. Uh,
I guess, but they weren't allied. They've been at war
no,
this
this
entire
is true.
time.
Um, their word is probably a better thing to say than their alliances.
Yeah. Or it's they're saying, "Hey, I'm playing diplomacy. My alliance hasn't flipped enough this mostly consistent. I gotta stab somebody." Or make friends that was once an enemy. I gotta do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or something. Oh well. Germany took Belgium. Good for Germany.
But lost Munich at the same time. Although they could
Yeah, but
potentially take
Munich,
it
who
back.
cares?
What do you mean, who cares?
Who cares? It's just Munich. It's fine.
Hmm.
Real money is. They got the chocolate.
Mm. So I remember this from the video as well. Sweden is supporting Kiel up from Denmark here, and that successfully counters the support down. But England was supposed to support Kiel up with North Sea as well, and did not do so. I think in the video he said it was because he left an order from the previous turn on, but he wasn't moving north to Belgium on the previous turn, so I don't think that makes sense. Um,
Was this the thing that he like said in a confessional to chat, or is this the thing that he said to somebody else?
he just said it at the order revealing time to everyone, so it could well have been a
Yeah, he
lie.
was clearly just lying. Yeah, all right.
Yep. So it ends up being 2v2 here, but he does get into Skagerrak, so he's ready to take Denmark if he wants to. Should be noted, he's helping Germany against Russia here after trading centers back to Russia and making Russia significantly stronger, and at the same time bouncing Austria out of Warsaw.
Like, imagine if England had done anything else. Like, whatever. I think England is actually having fun this game, which
Yeah.
is a good thing to have in diplomacy. I think because it's so clearly self-destructively to be lying so much, it's making everyone have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I hope.
See, this is what I'm gonna say
All
next
right.
time I end up doing terrible strategies. I'm just gonna say, oh well, it's fun. It's important to have fun in diplomacy. I'm gonna go lie to more people.
What does it say about us that we think that he's having more fun because he's lying?
Oh no, he absolutely is. You watch the video; it's absolutely hilarious. Uh,
All right. Well, that's this is a very good turn for England and Turkey again.
mhm.
And France is not happy.
No, this is true. Um, Although
It's not the end of
they
the
can
world for
pick up
France.
Munich potentially. Depends what Germany does. So supply centers wise, they might be all right. Uh,
Yep.
right. So fall 1904.
Yeah, this is gonna be a cool turn. Lots of chaos.
Okay. Well, which part of this do you want to look at first? Um. So that Austrian Turkey alliance didn't last very long. It lasted all of one turn. Um,
Yeah. This is fine. Like good very good news for Turkey, obviously.
mhm.
Going +2. Yeah.
Yep.
Bulgaria and Serbia, I think. So oops. All right, Turkey's number one. That's great. Um
There was a brilliant
oh
exchange in the video over this Turkey Austria thing, which was that when they all submitted the orders, Turkey said to Austria, "I'm really sorry, like I'm attacking you." Austria went, "What? How, why are you attacking me?" And then the orders flipped, and Austria was also attacking Turkey. So Turkey goes, "You're attacking me too," and Austria went, "Well, I'm only attacking you with 2 units."
yeah. Whereas Turkey
Whereas
was attacking with 5.
Turkey attacked with
Guess who
far
won?
more, so it was unfair, clearly, for Turkey to do this.
That exchange does sound lovely.
Yep. Austria does take Trias back off of the Italian, but the Italian takes Tunis, so they stay on 4, uh,
Yep.
as as is their traditional thing to do. Uh,
Yeah. And Turkey not tapping Ionian finally comes back to bite.
mhm.
Um
Well,
Because this is right where you suddenly convert from just trying to kill Austria, I think, to trying to also kill Italy.
yes.
And do you want to be alienated for that? But it's okay. Italy can't defend. You're going to build with like a fleet and an army and then just crush. Or maybe, no, not two armies. Fleet and an army, yeah. Anyways, that's great. You'd like to be an Ionian, but you're not. France, like, gets Brest back, but doesn't lose Munich. So, yeah,
Yeah.
like, Francis stands
No,
pat.
France does lose Munich, right? They get knocked out of
Or,
Munich
like,
by the.
yeah. So they
Doesn't
don't
take
gain
Munich.
Munich,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
don't lose Brest. Like, they're neutral there. Brest and Munich flip back,
But they
so everything's
do
fine.
lose Tunis, so they're going down one overall.
Yeah, in the north. They're losing one net. They're even in the north. So, like, whatever.
Yeah. So what else have we got here? Germany gets
Germany
helped.
+3 -1
Yeah, gets Belgium
+2,
gets
but
Denmark.
they're both full.
Oh yes, because Russia slips into Berlin behind, and they
Yeah.
covered Kiel, which yeah, so they're gonna have to unfortunately not be able to build on this turn. Very sad for them. Um, yep. And
Russia gets to consolidate, right? Denmark teleports to Warsaw or Moscow because Russia successfully guessed against England here.
yes, on Berlin here, Russia manages to pick up the extra dot, and therefore this blown up unit gets to rebuild. Um, I, it's kind of interesting to me that England is doing it this way. Like, they're attacking Russia by supporting Germany against them, but at the same time, they're not really attacking Russia at all in their home supply centers. They're just leaving Norway unguarded. They're letting St. Petersburg do whatever, and then they're just poking with Ukraine and hoping to get something and losing the 50-50. um,
Yeah. And like they're not trying to build themselves. Like they could have taken Denmark for themselves with the strength of 3, but Germany in there. Okay. They gotta rebuild trust, right? I think they're trying to strike a balance here.
yep. It's it's a weird situation. I feel
Yeah.
like rebuilding trust after everything that's been done is kind of difficult.
Yeah, but diplomacy shows you can always rebuild it. It can always come back.
Uh, that's a nice moral to take away. That is very far from being helpful in this situation. Uh,
Yeah.
all right. So, anything else to talk about here?
I think let's go to builds.
Yeah. All right. Winter 1904. Double army from Turkey.
Yeah.
I think it. I
Eh.
mean, I would have preferred a fleet just because of that you want to push out into Ionian at this point. But like double army is kind of fine. You can send one up to Armenia and then go for Russia, and the other one can hopefully push out
Yeah.
while you push Romania into black.
Yep. I think I expect that to happen, and that's fine. It's a little annoying because you've also got to get Sevastopol out of the Black Sea then, so it's like you're gonna move Romania into Black Sea and then move it into Constantinople, and it's like you're spending a lot of time moving units around with your fleets. You're not really like convoying them or supporting or anything that you want to be doing with fleets. So fine, but yeah.
Yeah,
I think the mistake was like longer ago with when they moved Constantinople up into the Black Sea and like they had 2 fleets in the north, which is a pain to navigate, but
yeah. Really, as Turkey,
whatever.
you only ever want the one fleet in Black Sea, and then one fleet potentially behind it supporting if you need to, but never moving up to it because the fleets in these positions in Sevastopol and Romania are not very useful. You want armies there.
Yep. But we were in the situation like it made some sense for Turkey to move into the Black Sea and stuff. And like you want to have a unit in the Black Sea because it's really critical, especially when you've just taken Sevastopol. What you want to be able to support it, and hey, look, Black Sea does that, so it's fine.
Yep.
But I think these two army builds, like, Turkey's clearly really happy. Turkey's on 8. The next biggest is at 5. You're Turkey. You're out of the box. You've got no enemies except for a 3 center Austria. Like, it's great,
Hmm.
and you'll be strong. I think his extra fleet would have been marginally better, but the extra army is still going to get value. Army war fleet Gascony is what gets removed as France.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Like it, I feel like Fleet Gascony is generally a pretty useless unit. It can only go to these 3 provinces, right? So it feels bad to have it, just because an army there is so much better. In this position, it feels like they're quite under threat in here. They kind of needed the units at home. But Tyrrhenian Sea
Yeah,
can
and
definitely
like,
snipe a center here. Ruhr would
yeah,
probably be the one to
Gascony only
take off,
borders
right?
3 provinces with the fleet,
Hmm.
but one of those provinces is the Mid-Atlantic Ocean.
Yes, which is the most
And
important
so
province in the
fleet
game.
Gascony, right? It can't be that bad as long as you just move in the Mid-Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. Uh, it's gonna be tough to get into Mid-Atlantic Ocean with it. um,
At the moment, yeah. But here's where I would have disbanded either Tyrrhenian Sea or Ruhr. Probably I would have disbanded Tyrrhenian Sea to try to tell Italy, hey, look, you got fish to fry or turkeys to cook, I guess.
yeah.
Um, and I've got Englishmen to deal with. So I tried to take Tunis. I got it. It didn't go well. Oops, my bad. Tyrrhenian's off. Let's be peace. And then you can actually fight. You're fighting everyone, and you can't effectively fight anyone, and so you're gonna die.
Hmm. Yeah. I think it would definitely be helpful to get Italy off your back if you can.
Do you think he's gonna try to move into Naples?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? If you move into Naples here, you're actually potentially getting your fleet blown up. Just because Italy can move back through, and they can move to Rome and Tyrrhenian and then kill you. But will Italy think to do that? It's an interesting question. Um,
Yeah. All right. Well, those are the
yeah.
builds.
Do you want to
Let's
do
go to.
power rankings here? So I think
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course.
Turkey is still at the top, right?
Yeah, it's like Turkey's still at the top. I'm gonna make clear that Turkey's at the top by so much now. It's like Turkey's got to be like 90% favorite to board top from here.
Hmm.
Um, like a game because you're not gonna see the type of cohesive multi-nation cooperation required to put Turkey not board top.
Hmm.
Um, so right, like again, at this point you could put a beginner on Turkey and put experts on the other countries, and they're still going to struggle to work it out, and the beginners are just going to keep crunching. So if they're all beginners, it looks pretty doomed. So I think Turkey is huge, huge favorite, and so it matters less after that. As
Hmm.
far as who can possibly hope to compete against Turkey, it's like, yeah, England, I think, is the best. Just they have lots of good fleets, they stand to gain. And like Turkey grows slowly, so England has a chance still to keep up at the rate of growth that Turkey can get, but not like he's got 8 units, I've only got 5. So I think England's still number 2. And then
Yeah.
did we bottom before?
Sorry.
I think Austria is now last place, certainly.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree on that front. Certainly Russia's improved a bit since last time. Just on account of having managed to consolidate things, even though they are still not in a great position.
Yeah,
So,
but get better. And like if they can get themselves support themselves into Moscow from Livonia and then actually disband the British army in Ukraine, that'd be sick.
hmm, yeah. I think they're still second to last.
I would
What
rather be
is?
them than Italy once
Yeah,
again.
I did. I just looked at the
Like
Tyrrhenian Sea Fleet and thought, actually, yeah, Italy is probably
so
worse
it's
than
more
them.
than that. That's not why. Like the Turanian fleet, but it's an 8 center Turkey. Um,
Mhm.
that's going to be coming west at some point soon.
Yep.
Like, yeah, there's extra armies going around, and so Russia's not happy about it either, for sure. But the armies generally flow from Austria into Germany and into Italy, pressuring Venice, and then there's fleet pressure on Ionian Lake. That's normally where these armies go, and it's the natural flow of things. And so Italy just has to fight against that like flood of troops, and it's not going to go well.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Turanian fleet's annoying, but I think that's going to get answered. I think France is going to like that's a much more manageable problem. Turkey on 8 is not a manageable problem, and if you're fighting it, you're going to lose. So,
That's true. Yeah. Um, do you put France above Germany here? I like assume so, even
yeah.
though they've got the English around them. Just because Germany's position is a little bit easily crackable if people turn on them, right?
Yeah, plus Germany doesn't have 5 units on the board. Germany only has 4,
That's true. Um,
so makes it harder to use.
all right, so
Also,
oh.
France is further from Turkey, right? So being farther position better. Although it's not a juggernaut, this is just a strong Turkey. So yeah, I like this. I love the power ranking. Turkey's the strongest. Then in descending, right? How close are you to Turkey? Bottom up.
It is exactly that,
Done.
yes. Uh, all right, well, so those are our power rankings for this turn. Let's move ahead to spring 1905.
Uh, so Greece to Albania, one of the greatest moves of all time, bouncing 4 enemy units. Boing, 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 boing.
Yep. While repositioning into Romania here, which is nice. Although I would have preferred to see Smyrna go up to Armenia to get into Sevastopol, but this works fine too. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to keep your fleet in Sevastopol, don't actually care about pushing north into Russia. Totally fine.
Yep. I do love the Russian just walking out of Cilicia. Now that England has been stopped from getting into Warsaw, they can be stopped from getting into Moscow by Livonia, and I can go and do something else.
I mean, you gotta get builds. Like, this way, Russia stands to build again. Like, Munich can't be defended by the German, right?
Yeah, this is true. Um,
So, like, that's huge for you. Like, you might just take Munich, and if you just read England's mind again, um, yeah,
mhm.
be great.
Yep. Speaking of England's mind, what do you think about Mid-Atlantic Ocean to English Channel and English Channel to North
I
Sea?
want to die. Cry. I want to cry. It just
It is very sad.
hold Mid-Atlantic Ocean. You're in Mid-Atlantic Ocean. You don't have to do anything. Just hold. Just sit there and laugh at France with his puny one fleet, needing to have 1 million units defending his centers as you just sit there. Take Denmark, why don't you? Right? Like, go for Denmark. Like, do your units. Don't just move back and forth useless.
I think
Like, moving is good.
this might have been a ChatGPT moment, which would make sense because this is just painful. uh, but yeah, it's very sad to lose Mid Atlantic. You got in Mid Atlantic. France only has one fleet adjacent. They are never getting into Mid Atlantic if you just stay there, and that is such an important province to both of you. Now France can just go to North Atlantic if they want to and take Liverpool. Not that it's a great idea for them to do so, but they could, and they couldn't if you had just stayed there. Yeah. So, what else do you want to talk about here?
I want to point out this is one of those times where, like, we've seen a lot of times in this game where people have held units that they didn't think were doing much.
like a GNC has held instead of moving into Ionian because there was a unit in the adjacent province. Um, if France had held Portugal here, assuming the same thing, it would have gone terribly wrong. And so because they moved from Portugal into Mid-Atlantic Ocean, it's way better.
Yes.
Like it's one of those huge times where it's great to tap. Tapping is wonderful. Sometimes you end up there and it's great.
And on the flip side to this, holding in Tyrrhenian I actually really like, because for the spring turn, Tyrrhenian is the best place to be, right? You can move to a dot if you want to, but you're not taking it that turn. So just staying in the position that is the most flexible here is quite nice. Although I
Yeah,
suppose now you can get bounced out of both, so maybe that doesn't apply.
yeah. It's funny where if they had moved into either Rome or Naples in the spring with this order set, because Italy moved into Apulia instead of into Rome, you could retreat into the other, and you would have been fine. Um, I would have actually moved into Rome, expecting Italy to be moving Venice into Rome, and then I would bounce that move and stay in Tyrrhenian Sea. So I would have been surprised, and it would have worked out because I would have gained the center. But like, I think your point about holding a Tyrrhenian here is a reasonable point. I do. I think it's a fine time to hold. It's a good strategic position to be in. So
I'd
yeah,
almost argue you kind of want to be supporting the Italian back to Ionian, though, because this
yeah,
Turkey is such a big threat to win.
yes, I do agree with that. As from the like higher level strategic point of view, say, hey, my fleet's an Italian fleet. We keep Turkey in the box, quote unquote. We keep them out of Ionian at least for as long as we can. Let's go.
Yep.
Although I think I would probably offer to move into Ionian and get supported by them because they'll feel more comfortable maybe. They can still get back into Tyrrhenian that way.
Yeah, that makes more sense. The important thing for you is that Italy then would be following it back with Western Mediterranean, right? And suddenly becomes less of a threat to you.
Yeah. Actually, this decision is really affected by the scoring system here. It's actually crazy how big of a deal it is right now. If you're playing SOS, then you really do need to do this. Stop Turkey from getting too big, and I'll make do in the West. I'll figure it out. But if you're playing draw size, nah, 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 nah. Right? We'll let Turkey cut out as many people from the draw, and we'll hold the stalemate line at Munich. It's going to be a four-way, me, Germany, England, and then Turkey kills the entire East. And then
Yep.
nice four-way draw clean.
Yeah, it's a super interesting one. Like, obviously, the scoring systems don't really matter in casual games. Like, the way that they're scoring
Yeah.
it here is they're just doing it the traditional 18 centers as a solo. Anything else, like, if you agree to tie, everyone's still alive at the tie, gets that to participate in the draw, which is kind of draw size scoring. It's what we call draw size scoring in competitive play, but in draw size as well, you say that a smaller draw is better, which isn't necessarily clarified by the rules, right? But the other approach is like sum of squares, which is SOS that Ezio was talking about. The person who is. It's quite a complicated scoring system, but it's about getting as many senses as possible without letting anyone else get much bigger than you. Because if someone else is much bigger than you, it reduces your score massively. So limiting Turkey's growth here would be super important under that. But yeah. Uh, so is there anything else to talk about here, or shall we move ahead?
I think we can go ahead.
All right, fall 1905. More repositioning from the Turk just to get those units onto the front line. Yeah, and walks into Ionian unopposed because France and Italy are just attacking each other. Oh, gotta love that as Turkey
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I mean, seems like right, Turkey didn't gain any centers this year, but Turkey's position is way better. And it's yeah. I don't yeah.
Yep. And on another note, England finally manages to get one of, well, not get it themselves, but take one of Warsaw or Moscow off of the Russian by supporting Austria in. Um,
Yep.
so Austria is going to lose one here. Not Austria, Russia is going to lose one here. And Russia also didn't bother taking Munich themselves. They gave it to France, which now they've got to be regressing because they're going to have to take a unit off.
Yep. They clearly did not like England at this point because they're clearly at war with Germany, but they are willing to support Germany to deny England a build.
Yep.
That's how pissed they were.
Yeah, although England manages to get a build anyway out of Belgium here instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is this is the downside to stabbing everyone in diplomacy. The other people will be annoyed enough that even the people they're at war with, they'll briefly help to stop you from advancing. Yeah, so France has got to be happy here. Manages to take Munich. Although, actually, I'd be very sad because I don't have anywhere I can build a fleet. Do you really want to put down Army Paris here? Ugh.
I mean, there's enough chaos in Germany right now that I'm actually kind of okay with being a little more army heavy as France right now. But as France, I'm still not caring like my feelings about this game are so different from the players in the game's feeling. I'm just like, oh my God, this game is all about Turkey. Everyone else needs to stop doing nonsense. But they don't feel that way. And so like how I feel is irrelevant at this point because I'm saying, Italy, please God, stop Turkey. We need to stop Turkey. Stop Turkey. Right. And that's just not so.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Again, Turkey's gonna win, and we'll see what the builds are, and like we'll just watch the slow crunch.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, shall we just go ahead to the winter? I feel like there's not that
let's
much
see the
more
builds.
to talk about here. Yeah. Okay. So winter 1905, Army Vienna makes sense. Army Paris, only option. Fleet London from England. They're getting to pumping out fleets here. And nothing else. Baltikov, which is, I think I would have taken Bohemia off. No.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I like having three armies as Russia, like Moscow and Warsaw are both landlocked. If you wanna fight for them, you need more armies.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like imagine just pulling back from the German front entirely, Berlin to Prussia, Bohemia to like Galicia or Silesia, and then you can try to stall for stuff, but
I just hate this position as the Russian. Like I couldn't.
oh
figure
yeah,
out what
you're
to
cooked.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, pushing Warsaw into Silesia was a risky move that was good if you were going to be taking Munich yourself, but then supporting France into Munich to cost yourself the build to move Silesia into Bohemia, not support yourself into Warsaw, not to tap anything, like it's yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, just painful there. All right. Well, shall we go ahead to Spring '06?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, Austria only entered one order this turn, which was the support of England to Moscow. I remember watching the video here. Austria basically says this happens sometimes in beginner games, right? Because diplomacy goes so long. Austria said, "Okay, I'm gonna go play War Thunder. Just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do that." So they wrote the order and then started playing something else while this was going on. So
Sure.
yeah, Turkey making progress here. It's slow progress, but it is progress into Trieste.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
But
getting the Black Sea out. Getting the Black Sea into Aegean and then into Eastern is going to be big
yes, that is
because
true.
they're going to finally be able to convoy stuff more effectively. It's just going to be good.
I would have quite liked to see Greece get convoy to Apulia here, but I think that's also something you don't really think about until you've been playing this for a while, right? Because it's not even convoying into an SC; it's just full position.
Yep, the Greece convoy obviously is huge. Would have been great, but
Yeah.
hardly the end of the world. Doesn't really matter because, as you can see, nothing else. Like Russia's dying. Like not that slowly because Austria and England are coordinating on it, but like England didn't coordinate to get in to take St. Petersburg. Like if England had moved into Finland from Sweden, for example, they could then take St. Pete and Russia might actually die. But instead, they didn't. They just held. They didn't support themselves in Denmark, but Germany happened to leave Denmark, so it worked out just fine. Like it's fine, but
Oh,
either way,
this is also a turn where Germany is extremely drunk at this point, if I recall correctly, and they go to England and like England tells them about the ChatGPT thing, and Germany basically says, "Okay, I will follow your ChatGPT as well. I'm going to be your vassal now." So
okay.
that is what's happening here. Um, yeah, Sweden needed to go to Norway or Finland just to secure St. Petersburg here, but did not do so, and England is back in English Channel again, although this is the least efficient way to do this. Like,
Yep.
if you're gonna move like this, you should support it out with North Sea, or just, like, support North Sea through if you want to end in this exact position. The sending them in a conga line doesn't really help anything.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Italy and France still fighting down here. France manages to retreat into Naples, but that can't be held unless they get Turkish support. Although, Austria retreats into Venice. Important thing there.
Yep.
Anything else you want to talk about here?
I mean, this feels like when most casual games just end. Like people are like, all right, we'll concede. Turkey wins. Austria's already given up. Germany's drunk. They're listening to ChatGPT. They've been playing this game for like what, 3 hours now? Like,
Probably.
yeah. So, and frankly, I can see why, because at this point the game, like, unless there's a radical change in how everyone starts to play immediately, Turkey just wins. So, but we'll see. Like, but let's go to the next turn. Let's see how they
Yeah.
act.
Alright, so fall 1906 here. So Turkey actually helps Italy into Naples here.
Sure.
But Turkey is also just advancing again, taking Budapest as well. If I recall correctly, the reason for Austrian Venice into Apulia is basically, again, that he's ready to check out of the game and doesn't want to get the extra supply center because then he'll have to stay longer.
Yep. Wants to be done with it, so getting out.
And a whole lot of bouncing over here in the west because of the Middle Atlantic Ocean situation. No one has two fleets.
Yeah, but also England walks out of Denmark. England walks out of Belgium while Germany walks into Belgium. And like why?
Yeah. That's a very good question because Germany cannot build anything. So Germany takes
Right?
one off of England and they don't like it just
Yeah.
means England doesn't get the build from Moscow. That's the only consequence.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention. I wanted to mention this on the last one because it was so funny in the video. It's when Germany is having the conversation leading up to when they say, "Okay, I'll be your vassal, England." They're trying to negotiate terms on how they'll work together, and they say, "I want the whole of France. Like that is my demand here, because I'll give you the whole of Scandinavia if you give me the whole of France." I just loved that because Germany is
I'll be your
offering
vassal,
England.
but you will give me all of France.
I think at that point it wasn't the vassal negotiation so much. They switched to that after hearing about ChatGPT, but here when they were trying to negotiate, like to get back on the same page. They said, "Hey England, I'll give you Scandinavia if you give me all of France."
I'll give you Scandinavia if you give me all of France.
Like,
Yeah.
It's the stuff you already have.
Yeah, I'll give you the stuff you already have, except Denmark. You can't have Denmark, but I get all of France. Yeah,
Yep.
good deal.
Best deal. Anyway, it's not really relevant to this turn. But yeah, so England and Germany are still working together. Important to note here. They just did things.
And so here we see Turkey, I think, playing in a really good way to get a solo.
Yep.
Right? Honestly, like, make friends with Italy, keep him on board, don't piss him off to try to get an extra dot. Like, it's okay. He can stay on 4. Right? It's fine. And then look, he's going after France still, so you might get into Tyrrhenian Sea. Like, you might be able to be fine. Just slip past the stalemate line, get the win. Great play. I'm really, really happy with this.
Yes. Yeah, and we will see that more as it develops. I think you get to just move ahead here, because I think there's not that much more to talk about.
Yeah.
So we'll go to Winter 06. I guess this is a power rankings turn, so...
Yep, Turkey's won, everyone else is last.
Yeah.
Next.
I think at this point, Austria actually does drop out of the game and go civil disorder, which is kind of fair in this position. But yeah.
I mean, but partially because he has been choosing to, like, he walked out of Venice, right?
Yes,
if he was still in Venice, he would still have stuff to do.
I think it's also, like, completely fair in a casual game that you want to drop out. In competitive, it's frowned upon because it skews the balance of the game a bit. If someone drops out, people are going to be counting on that person to like, counterbalance someone else. Or to be available to help them if necessary.
Or to, like, hey, you want to screw somebody, right? You can screw somebody. If you want to be a vassal to Turkey, go for it. But, like, just leaving isn't great, but it's fine.
But yeah, it's fine in a casual game like this.
It's also fine in competitive play. Like, look, if you're sick of the game, if you're not having fun, like, maybe they should have thought about that before they killed you. Like, if you needed me alive, if I'm integral to your game, maybe you should have helped me stick around. But I can't win, so why should I help you? Like, whatever.
Fair enough, I guess. So, yeah, I don't think we really need to do the rest of the power rankings. It is just Turkey in first place at this point. I think
Turkey in first, and then everyone else, how far are you from Turkey is going to be how well you do.
The rest are actually more or less the same. I think Italy has risen above Russia in this, and then the rest are the same as last time. So Turkey.
You think Italy is more likely to make it into the draw than Russia?
I mean, Russia has 2 centers that are split up massively, and England can very easily take them both if they really want to, because they've got Germany on board, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I think Italy is more likely to make it, because look, Italy can also guarantee Spain here. So worst case scenario, they can just make a run for Iberia.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. All right, Italy over Russia. I agree.
Okay, so I've swapped those 2 over, but everyone else is exactly the same. All right, so spring 1907. Oh, it's still just slow progress on the Turkish front. Although something I really like that they did here is they went purely for position instead of for supply centers. So, killing the Galicia army and pushing forward into Tyrolia because they knew Austria was in civil disorder. This is just a much more effective way to go about this turn than taking Vienna would have been. Because you really want to push forward to the front line here and get the centers that you need for a solo, right? Vienna is a center you can take anytime.
Yep, I really like that. One of the things, right, if we're talking to new players, is holding Sevastopol here. This is a position where you'd much rather have moved Sevastopol into the Black Sea in the spring, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, if they move from Moscow into Sevastopol right after you, right? Because let's say you want to keep it here for defensive reasons, because you have to move it out next turn, because you want to move Armenia into Sevastopol next turn. If you do it right now, Moscow can bounce, and you're less efficient. You're not in Sevastopol. But if you make the move in the spring, even if England moves into Sevastopol in the spring, you can kick him out, and you haven't slowed yourself down at all.
Yep.
So Just that's one of those small tactical things that it's almost always correct to do. Yes, I understand that technically if they're in Sevastopol, then they can bounce you out of Romania. So if your top priority is actually not whatever. Anyways, you should move Sevastopol into the Black Sea here, to then support yourself up. But either way,
Yeah, it's just a minor inefficiency there.
yeah, but it was the rest of the turn is so efficient. Look at all the moves. Look at everything getting everywhere. Venice is gonna fall. There's not even anything defending Venice anymore, right? You can literally just walk in. Um, you can, yeah, everything's cooked. Everything's coming up Turkey.
Yeah.
All done.
And if I'm recalling the video correctly, at this point, Germany, England, and Italy are making an agreement to end this game in a three-way draw between them, which I think is a little bit overambitious. Perhaps.
Germany, England, and Italy
Yep.
are agreeing to three-way draw.
Yep.
Yeah, because they just don't realize that, like, oh yeah, the West, right? France is our enemy. We'll kill France. Yes.
Yeah.
Because they don't realize the entire East is consolidated under the Yellow Menace.
Well, I mean, when you're playing in the West, it's very easy to just not look at the East, right?
Yeah, and Italy's played this entire game pretending they're a Western power. So,
Well, they've been kind of in the middle, right? They haven't gone fully West until right now.
that's true. And they did that one turn. They cut one support, right?
Yes, I think. But the interestingly here, actually, the way they went about their attack, this could have been countered with the Spain attack on Lyon. Usually, you would see people go for Spain first in this scenario because the Marseille can't cut any supports here, so Spain is guaranteed where Marseille is not. But it works out fine because Spain is defending Mid-Atlantic Ocean, which is a completely fair thing to do as well.
Yep.
And France is just pushing England out of Picardy here, which is it's nice. It saves Brest. Yeah.
Yep, it's like you're defending against three powers, you're not gonna win. Like even France at this point is just gonna put up a modicum of resistance, but you're gonna die. So
All right.
yeah, totally fine.
Shall we go to the fall?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, fall 1907. Russia slips into Norway. Thus keeps their dreams alive on two. England had left that way too open, and I think once again that was a case of I forget that Norway is connected to St. Petersburg. That kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean it's tough when you already had the revelation earlier in this game about it, but it's fine. Whatever.
Yep. But yeah, in the south, Turkey manages to get into Sevastopol completely fine, and they jump ahead into Tunis here, which is, again, perfect. This is what you want to do if you want to solo. You want to jump forward and take the supply centers as far forward as possible, provided you've consolidated a decent chunk. Because you can take...
Venice can come later.
Yeah, you can take these
Yeah,
whenever.
you don't have to worry about it.
So, yeah, and then over in the west, they're just brutalizing France.
Although here, notably, the Venice whenever, because we know that Austria is in CD, it's super tempting to still take Venice, because you can take Vienna also. With just two, you don't have to use three anymore.
And knowing that Italy is probably getting a build here, even despite Tunis, yeah, I'd be very tempted to just walk into Venice instead.
Yeah, denying a build does accelerate you a lot, but also totally fine. I would have liked to see Romania up to Ukraine. Like, you're not walking into Warsaw. Like, someone's covering it. So,
yeah.
would have been nice, but either way, again, it all doesn't matter because there's no cohesion in the board, and yeah, maybe they could figure out how to stop you in Germany by the time you get there, but
probably not.
Is whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, anything more to talk about, or should we just advance?
Let's go to builds.
Alright, and Germany finally does get to build, I think, here, because they managed to take Berlin, and they got a unit out of Kiel, so they got an open home center, finally. But they are still going to play a unit down, because they have 5 now, and they can only put one down. And England doesn't get a build, importantly here, so Mid-Atlantic Ocean is free to make a dash for Liverpool if it really wants to. Although English Channel can block that.
I mean, yeah, English Channel can cover, but whatever. That's great.
Yep. So Army Venice is exactly why we were saying it might be.
Nobody's died yet.
Oh yeah, actually Austria has no units, but they are still alive in Warsaw. So, fun little thing there. That is actually impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we go to Spring 07? Spring 08?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So, Spring 1908, more advancing for Turkey, pushing forward as fast as they can, which is really nice.
Yep.
And again, this is a thing that you see expert soloing powers do, is get the smaller powers who have been annoyed with people on side. They've managed to do that with Silesia supporting them into Galicia, and France making a run for Liverpool is going to make everyone's life harder as well. Because I think at this point England's goal was kill France. Which is not going to happen. Yeah. So, this ends up being the final turn of the game, in fact, because after this point they concede to Turkey. They say, Turkey is winning this 100%. And I think that
yes, 2 turns after discussing the 3-way draw.
Yes. They finally realize, oh, hang on. There are quite a lot of yellow armies over there. How are we going to deal with that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's completely fair here. There probably is a stalemate line they could hold. Like, Turkey is the easiest power to stalemate. Well, maybe after England. But it's... You know, you've got to have knowledge of how a stalemate line works and how to set one up to do that. And that's probably not going to happen here.
And also, like, I think any stalemate at this point would require every power on the board.
Yes.
Not just like if France just gets in Liverpool and then AFK's there, I still don't think you're done. I still think you're done. I think it needs everyone actively working together to make it happen. And clearly that's not what's happening. So
yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe if France just takes Liverpool.
And then AFK,
it's really easy to stalemate
but
Germany.
Like, if France comes out of Liverpool and then helps the Turk at all, you are dead. If Russia is helping the Turk at all, you are dead. At this point, it's like...
Oh, yeah. Russia guaranteed, because that army in Norway is not going anywhere anytime soon. Like, it's...
Yeah, it can go
It's going to be cutting St. Petersburg at some point.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
I mean, look, this is classic beginner game, right? Like, Turkey's terrifying. It got 5 units on the first turn. It never had to disband. It had no enemies. It just crushed and won.
Yeah. And honestly, a fantastic game to commentate. Like, this is so different from the kind of games that we usually commentate. You can just point to so many things in this that you would never see happen in any other game on this channel. I think this has been a brilliant one to do. And yeah, the Valefisk video is very well worth a watch. So, well done, Turkey. Congratulations on your victory. And thank you all for listening. It's been a great one.